talking. Okay, thank you,
Well,
Amy.
which is much better than when I've hosted. I've forgotten altogether. Okay, let's.
All right.
Okay. And does that look like it's everyone, Lori?
There's still people coming in.
Okay. Oh, it's going to be a 2-screen night.
You gotta get a system that handles the 49 or whatever it is, the larger number.
The what?
There's if you have the right, I don't know exactly what the requirements are, but if your computer is powerful enough and your screen has enough space,
Mm-hmm.
I think you can get 49 people on instead of 25.
Oh, okay. So I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 25. No, I would definitely need to hook it up to my other monitor. But I kept thinking, I don't need to buy that stuff because we won't be doing this for long.
Right.
So,
In a year now.
yeah.
Yeah, but
And
I thought the governor voted through 2025. Or is it
yes, so it's 2
2
years. Yeah.
years?
So yeah, that yeah, maybe I can rationalize it then. Okay, then as I look from page to page. Okay, welcome everyone to the August 23rd, 2023 Dover Conservation Commission meeting. And Lori, if you can go ahead and read the guidance from multiple governors now.
Following guidance issued by the governor regarding the open meeting law, this public meeting will be held remotely. Individuals wishing to participate may do so using Zoom video conferencing technology. To join the meeting by video, using a computer or tablet, you can use the link listed on the agenda. To join by phone, you can call the phone number and put in the ID and the passcode, and the meeting is being recorded.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so why don't we, first thing we'll be starting is minor modification request for 36 Miller Hill. Let's see, number 144-896. Janet, can you give us a quick fill in on that, please? If you could unmute, please.
Sure. This is a pretty straightforward minor modification request. We approved this order of condition a couple of months ago. They are proposing to add fencing, construct a temporary riprap construction access drive right along the 100-foot buffer zone line, and also prune some trees that we generally don't, that's not usually a condition that we require. I did inspect the site to look at the additional proposed work. I did not see anything that would have a negative impact on the resource areas. And I recommend approval with the one additional special condition that all construction access drive materials, including the riprap, shall be removed and the disturbed areas shall be stabilized with grass immediately upon completion of all construction activities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So is that this is not a formal hearing for that? Is it a non-advertised hearing?
That's right. That's
Okay,
right.
so we can move to an immediate, well, first, is there any discussion concerning this on the part of anyone? Okay, then we can move to entertain a motion to,
John, did you ask if there's any public comment?
oh, I
Good.
didn't specify whether it was one or the other because I
Okay.
didn't think there's, but so I said any, so it's not just for
Okay,
commissioners.
fine.
And so hearing none, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to grant the minor modification.
Yes, move to grant the minor modification for 36 Miller Hill Road with the conditions specified by our agent.
Second,
Thank you. All in favor? Sarah,
aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
I'm an aye. Do we have anyone else on tonight?
Just Diane from Field Resources. I was the representative, but you did my job and I appreciate that.
Glad to help you out. Okay, so so be it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
And then moving on to 78 Strawberry Hill, we have a notice of intent. We have broken our 900 number for DEP. And Janet, why don't you fill us in, please?
Sure. So this is a project that we've had some exposure to. It's a large new house lot. I think it's over a 6-acre lot. There was extensive clearing, and there was some concern that there might have been clearing in the buffer zone. There was confirmation going back about 6 months ago that there was no work in the buffer zone, but they were put on notice that any work in the buffer zone would trigger an NOI. So they are in front of us with a notice of intent to mainly install stormwater management structures, a drainage swale, some stone filter check dams along the border of the buffer, all to mitigate runoff. The site does all slope down towards the wetland. So these are important features really to protect the resource area and the buffer zone. I believe Matt Smith from Norwood Engineering is on tonight. So I think it would be helpful if he could share his screen and maybe run through the project. I did have a number of questions and concerns that were sent to Matt. He did reply. We have gotten the BVW field data forms. We got those yesterday. I did receive some feedback from the town engineer, Mike Angieri. I believe he's looked at the stormwater summary, and I just need to follow up with him. But I believe he has given his okay in terms of the stormwater calculations. We did get the NIPD SWIP plan. I haven't gotten that in hard form yet, though. I need to take a closer look. And then the other questions I had, the driveway, a portion of it is in the buffer. It's not in good shape. There's gravel. I'm sort of assuming that they plan to repave that, but I think that needs to be answered. Just wanted to confirm no trees or vegetation was going to be impacted. And I think those are the major concerns that I had.
Great, thank you. Matt, why don't you fill us in?
Great, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as I'm speaking, if we could share screen with Alex Kraplin, he's going to put some exhibits up on the board. But again, thanks, members of the commission. We met with you informally back in January, and since then we've done some plan edits and work with both Jason and Mike to make sure that they are satisfied with our design. With me tonight also is Alex from my office. He's an engineer with me. And the two project managers, Rob and Kyle from Lawrence Builders are with us. And the homeowner, Chris Dagis, I see is also on the meeting. So that's who's with us from our team. And since we've met, we've had a lot of good discussions with Janet and other town officials, and we're back. So on the first page gives you an overall picture of what's happening. It's kind of an L-shaped lot. The yellow is a long driveway that will go up to the house, which is in blue. And then near the house, there's a detached garage, a pool cabana, a pool, and then in the left side of the drawing is a tennis court. So it's a development, a single residence house, but it's a large development and kind of a complicated project. On the right side, going up and down, we see the bordering vegetated wetland in purple. And as we get to the next screen, I'll be able to show a little bit more detail as to where we're working. But again, this is, yeah, that's great, Alex. And so we're working in the, all in the buffer zone. And mainly we were able to stay out of the buffer zone except for a few sections. This sheet, which shows my drainage swale, and Alex, maybe if you can go to the next sheet, I just want to give an overview of what's happening. That area where Alex has his cursor is where we're proposing a detention basin, an infiltration basin, and a stilling basin. And that work will be within the buffer zone. You can see that there's this 100-foot buffer zone, and a little bit of the work is within the 70-foot buffer zone. And then maybe if we can go back up to the previous drawing, it's not quite as clear as I would like it, but most of that work there is out of the buffer zone, except there's a little bit in the buffer zone where the other basin is. A lot of detail on this plan, but let me walk you through it a little bit, and then I think it'll be best if we answer questions. But the red lines are all the drainage system for the project. So let's start in the left part. There's a system there of catch basins and infiltrators that will take the rear of the roof and the back lawn. The roof will be the water will be infiltrated in that red area, and then it will travel by pipes to the discharge area down to the lower right. And in that discharge area, it will also take the pipes from underneath the foundation. And then also in the lower right, there's a second infiltration area that will take the catch basins from the driveways. And then if we can go to the other screen, please, Alex. And what I've designed here is in the red is a series of swales that will carry the water down to the infiltration area. Right now, the water kind of flows from left to right, and we've had some trouble capturing some of the big storms. But working outside of the buffer zone, the contractor, Todd Rowan, has done a great job in building some cutoff swales to alleviate a lot of the erosion that's happened. And then the last thing that I want to bring your attention to is on the left side of the driveway going down, there's another swale that will lead to a catch basin that will also go across to the basin. So as far as the design, I'm going to leave it up to the questions if I can give any more detail to respond to some of Janet's comments. We agree with everything that she's asked for. We will be asking to repave the existing driveway, and we'll put some notes on the plan to show where the new pavement will occur. There will be some impact to the vegetation just in that area where the basin is. Right now, that's an area in the buffer zone that hasn't been cleared, and so that's the area that we will want to do some clearing. But we've shown erosion control along the limit of work for everything. We showed a silt fence and a silt sock, and we've been asked to also add a construction fence to that line, and we'll show that on the plan. So actually at this time, I'd like to wrap up my comments and open it up to any questions that anybody may have.
And commissioners, any questions?
That's very thorough presentation.
And Janet, do you have any questions relative to the presentation?
No, I think again, overall, this is going to improve the drainage from how it exists now. And they are minimizing impact within the buffer zone. I think all the performance standards are met. And the other piece, Matt, that we can talk about more in detail are the waiver requests that are needed for the installation of the stone entrance area. So we'll need that on a site plan as well. But I think that's it. So even though it's a large site, it's over an acre disturbance, it does trigger the federal NIPDES permit, which they have secured. It does not require the stormwater management BMPs because it is a single family home. But I think we are working with the town DPW to strengthen our own local stormwater bylaws. So we'll have a little more control over the rest of the site. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. And so do any of these plans show the proposed gates?
Yes, Alex, yep, there it is. If I might, Mr. Chairman, if Alex, if you could point out the gates, it's near Strawberry Hill Street. We propose walls and a gate in that area, and that will be within the 50-foot and a little bit of the 70-foot buffer zone, but it is in an area that has been previously developed. There's an existing driveway there with lawn on either side, so the work will be within that existing lawn, but it is absolutely a fact that we will need to ask for a waiver to build those the gate and the walls in that area.
And are you looking to incorporate that into this particular notice of intent or an amendment
Yes.
later, or?
Yes, no, this would be part of this notice of intent. It is shown on the plans and the buffer zones are shown on the plans, and we do show that we are proposing to work in that buffer, but I need to request a waiver of the commission and ask that you allow us to build that.
Okay, and would that waiver be under grandfather aegis, or what's?
I don't think so. I would ask for the waiver on the basis of impact and demonstrate that we're building a wall in an area that's currently next to an existing driveway and an existing grass area. So we're not trying to ask to build it in an area that has never been developed before. But it is your discretion as to whether or not you would allow it, and we would come back with a with more detail on that plan to show exactly where the existing grass is and where it's located relative to the existing things that have been built in the past. But then it would be under your discretion as to whether or not the commission would want to grant that waiver.
No, I think, well, you communicating with Janet, she might be able to aid you as you go through the waiver realm of things there.
Yep.
And Janet, is there anything else you're waiting for the waivers? What else do you need for this?
There's some additional detail, the detail on the driveway. Now that I have the data forms, I will need to go out to confirm the wetland line. And let's see, when I'm out on the site, I'll meet with Matt and others and we can review any additional clearing or review potential impact on the trees. Just need to touch base again with town engineer. And I think that's about it. I would like to start having the NOI site plans show the locations for signage and bounds, so we can get that up front so applicants are aware of it, and then the site plan shows that. I am starting to have some issues with folks who were unaware of the signage and bounds, even though it was in the order of conditions. So when I'm out there to look at the wetland line, I'll review locations for signage and bounds with Matt, and those can be added to the site plan.
Okay. Any questions from commissioners? Any questions from anyone, any non-commissioners? Okay, so why don't we, do you want to continue this, Matt, to the next meeting?
Yes, please.
Okay, then please send an email into Lori requesting that,
Okay.
and that would be great. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, night.
You, it makes it very easy when there's, everything's so well prepared.
Yeah,
Thank
what
Thank
a
you very much.
concept.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We have a COC request for 10 Draper Road. Janet, fill us in.
So this COC request came in. I met Artie on the site, Artie from Cheney Engineering. And the original COC request, which generally identifies deviations, changes. When I was on the site, well, just to back up a little bit, so this order of conditions was for relocation of a pool house, and then also clearing a natural area to install a play area, a sports field. There were 7 public hearings on this. Paul was involved in this. This is going back to
2015.
Yeah. So there were seven different site plans showing different configurations of the cleared area, which was in Riverfront, the outer 100 riparian. And what was approved was a triangular area, and it about reduced in half what originally was requested. And going out to see the site, I observed that in fact, the field had been substantially expanded to pretty much what the original request was, which was a rectangular field. And so I indicated to Artie that this would need to be discussed by the commission. My concern is that this is a substantial impact to the resource area and affecting a number of interests. So I think it would be helpful if Artie could share his screen and perhaps show us the original approved plan. And then also the actual as-built showing us what exists there now.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm zooming in. So this line in here in red is the limit of the line that was approved. This area in here, that, as you can see, was all approved to be lawn. On the last meeting that we had with Janet on site, she requested that for the meeting tonight to revise the plan so that we can clearly indicate to the board the square footage of the additional lawn area that has been created on the site. So we did provide the commission with new plans showing the approved limit of work and also showing the square footages of the additional lawn area that was created. If I can back up for a moment, this project started for us in 2020 when Martin, the new owner that currently lives at the property, he took over the property, and they found out at the closing that there was an outstanding order of conditions. Due to the family circumstances that they had at the time, they had to make a decision on moving forward with this project. You know, obviously things happen between now and then. And he has been pushing all along to get this closed. And we are at this point that we met with Janet at the ground, and we have a list of items that are kind of on the list of things that were not shown on the original plan. So for record keeping purposes, it appears that when they did the original plan that they filed for the reconfiguration of the pool house and creating this sports area, originally they did not show this retaining walls that go along the driveway. And one of the things that we discussed with Janet, she said it would be nice if we revise the letter to include that this were not shown on the original plan. They are old walls that were there. We are showing them for clarity. So this is one item that is different if you compare the old plan and the new plan. The other one would be the pool house. This is the location of the pool house. It's 60 feet away from the wetlands. The pool house that was approved was lining up with the edge of the concrete apron. So you're talking about probably like 2 feet further to the right that this bump out exists. We don't think that what they have done, putting the pool over there with 2 feet closer to the wetlands would be an issue. And I believe Janet agreed with that. That is a minor change. There was a stone riprap, and when we did the site visit, there were some blocks that were on the ground and the riprap wasn't in good shape, which we had the homeowner clean that area, provide pictures of fixing the riprap and removing the blocks on the bottom that were left on the ground. The other item was a well was approved to be closer to the wetlands somewhere on this location, and instead the well is installed further away from the wetlands. Then what's happening is that we've got 4-inch trees, 4-inch tree, 4-inch tree that due to their size or the poor health, I would say, that these trees have fallen down. There is a double, it looks like it's a lot of pines in the area. There is another 12-inch, this used to be a double pine, so 12 inches and 12 inches, but half of the tree was broken, and that's why it's only one tree left over there. So when we are taught, what we have done is that it appears that due to they have removed 10 additional trees. So we have clearly indicated them on the plans with circles and the size of the trees that were removed. Keep in mind that we are outside the 100-foot buffer. We are outside the 150-foot buffer. So this line in here would be the 150-foot buffer. So the lawn area that is created outside the limit of work, we did not prepare the original order of condition, original plans. So we were not part of the discussions for the 7 options that were discussed. We had to deal with a situation of what existed at the ground in 2020. This whole area is all forested on the side. Because of the Martin, he's considering doing some additional work on the property. And one of the things that he has been forceful about, wanted to get this thing resolved and closed as soon as possible. I explained to him that because of this 10 trees that has been removed, we've got like a clump of 9 pine trees that have grown on this area, that have been put on this area. But because more trees were cut, I suggested that planting birch tree, so that kind of, yes, there were 10 trees that were cut, but we got 10 new trees again. He did take the time and hire the landscaping company to install the new birch tree 2 weeks ago, and he even provided a warranty from the landscaping company stating that they warranty that this birch tree will survive. There are trees inside the post and rail fence that has been created, but this whole area is lawn. Another thing that Janet was concerned about was this lawn area, if there were any pesticides or anything that was used to maintain the lawn. And obviously, we got the letter from the owner again stating the fact that no pesticides were used on that lawn area, and he's got a 1-year-old kid that plays on that backyard. When this property was conveyed, we didn't know about the extent of lawn that was increased, and the owner didn't know when he closed on the property. During all this time, the last 3 years, he has been diligent as far as complying with everything that trying to do the right thing and not stockpile and not do anything harmful to the environment. I feel that, adding this additional square footage of lawn that they have put in there, being more than 100 feet, 150 feet away from the river, when the Dover regs require that you can't cut more than 50% of the trees that would be within 100 feet from the wetlands, this is 150 feet away. So, yes, some trees were removed, but would not be on purpose. It appears that that was done because of the nature of storms and bad weather that exists in the area. I even included a picture of a tree in here that had fallen over the fence that had damaged the fence. It's a post and rail fence that they had fixed. I can share you those pictures if you wanted to, but in a nutshell, what we are asking from the commission is to consider giving us the approval for the certificate of compliance, because we believe everything was done according to what was approved. This additional area that was created was out of the control of the new owner. And I don't believe that they even knew what they were doing when they expanded this additional footprint. If you have any other questions, I can show pictures or however.
I do, Artie. Do you have the original approved plan anywhere that you can pull up?
I gave the original plan to Janet. 1 second, let me see if I can. So this would be the overlay of that original plan. You see how that's what was approved.
And
This is the limit. Yes.
Yeah, so this is 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago.
That's right.
Are there, Janet, were you on the board back then?
No.
Okay. Did you have a chance to review the minutes on this as to, it is a curious thing because we're more than 150 feet away, so we're in the outer riparian there in terms of creating this field. I vaguely recall there being some discussion. There was a site visit, and I think the original plan was to put a baseball field in there, which might have been even larger than this. Tim, do you recall what the process there? And I guess, Paul, you were involved. Did you have a chance to, Paul McManus?
Yes.
Did you have a chance to check your notes or your steel trap memory?
I was on it. I have some of the plans. I didn't think to look back at them before this. My memory is that this whole area was extremely heavily wooded. So there were a lot more than the trees shown taken down. The other thing I seem to remember, which I could be wrong about, is the reason that the pool house was supposed to be where it was to keep a couple of very large trees just to the right of it, down towards True
Mhm.
So towards the brook, so.
And I believe that's why they created this riprap, I mean, just because they wanted to protect these trees. As you can see, the trees are still that we are showing.
Yeah, but
still
I mean, I think there was more than just that 20-inch tree, but maybe that was the 20-inch tree we were protecting. So
I
maybe
believe,
the foot or two didn't make a difference, but I remember a lot of discussion about how to put the pool house so that it wouldn't affect trees, but I can, maybe I can go through my files and figure out.
Mhm.
we have looked at the plan, the approved plan, and it didn't show any more trees. Obviously, we took care of making sure that we showed every tree that
So-
was removed to.
Artie, I just have a question. So the 3, 4-inch trees and the 24 and so forth up in the red area, are those trees that are existing or were removed?
So what's happening is that we have a note in here, we're saying additional tree removed with a circle. So the ones
Got
that
it.
are in red with a circle, they I did it to emphasize to the board so you could see where the trees are located. So I don't think that there was a pattern that they were trying to clear anything. The area, I can share the picture if you want to show that the area is heavily wooded over there. It's almost a forest.
So I think, I mean, well, number one, it's, I've seen on Google Earth, the original trees there. So
Okay.
I believe down where you have the 2,911 square feet or whatever, that area there had additional trees in it as well. How could you tell that these other ones, were the stumps still there? Is that how you?
So on this one, so the stumps in here were still there.
And up in the other area?
On this other ones, we had the plan, the approved plan. So we used the approved plan that was showing the trees. There is a note in here that Janet requested that we put in there saying area along the brook is forested and only part of the trees are shown near the area of concern around the lawn area. So the idea would be, if you look at the plans, they have trees starting from the river going all the way through up this area. It's natural, nothing has changed on the ground. So to do the survey to locate every tree now for this area in
No,
here.
I'm not that
it
worried
didn't
about
make
that.
sense.
I think you make a point. I would like to have us take a look at the minutes relative to what actually was determined and how back then. I am sure there were more trees that are not shown in that grassy area there within the red triangle. I'd like to get refreshed as to what the discussion was about not going forward. And also I'd like to be very helpful to see the original approved order of conditions plan to see exactly what was supposed to have been done, but also to see one of the proposed plans that came close to this, because it really looks like the previous homeowner just paid no attention to the entire process and just cut down more trees to get a rectangle in there.
So if you look in here, I just turned on the layer that shows all the trees. So the approved version plan that you were talking about, if you look at these dots, this would be the 4 inches trees and 39 inches trees, and
And these are
4
from
inches.
the are these
These
from
are
the
from
original?
the original plan, yes.
Okay, so can you move closer up into the triangle there?
Yes, so this were the trees that
Okay.
that we are showing. That's how I came up with, to answer your question, how do we know what trees were there? Because of the original plan, the approved plan indicated there was a 4 inch over there, 24 inch there, 10 inch over there, you see? So that's how we came up with it, so.
Okay, I think I heard Paul McManus chiming in. Paul, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I wanted to answer your question, John. I
Thanks.
do recall being here as part of this process. I did not dig into my file for this. I can do that, but my memory is that this was all driven by the riverfront regs under the act, not the bylaw.
Mhm.
which limits to alteration of undisturbed riverfront to 10% of the riverfront on the property.
Oh,
And
right, okay. Mhm.
that's my recollection, is that, there was the necessary calculation. This is our 100% number. Divide that by 10, that's the bite at the apple that the applicant got. And the original rectangular play area, I think, exceeded that 10%. So by cutting out that triangle, they got to 10%. So
Mhm.
I agree. I think, it needs to check the minutes. I can check my records as well. But I think that's what drove this.
No, I
So
think that,
it-
and I do, that is refresh my memory in terms of that discussion. And how much more flashing you want to do, Artie, before I get
Sorry.
sick?
Well, I just
Uh,
wanted to point that this is 5,000 square feet that they were referring to, 5,852 square feet.
Is the original approved area?
Yes,
And what was the total area under riverfront?
I don't have that information.
Mhm.
I do have that the additional lawn that was created is another 2,900.
Mm-hmm,
So 5,000 plus 3,000, we talk about 8,000 square feet.
So it sounds like there was probably between 50 and 60,000 square foot of riverfront.
Excuse me, Artie, was that number you gave, was that riverfront alteration? The 5,000?
That's, it appeared, yes, because they had broken it into two parts. I can show you, hold on a second.
So were you able to get the DXF file or whichever file you're using from the
Yes.
original engineer? Okay.
Yes. So this was 5,852 square feet that they calculated. And then they have on the top in here, 5,064 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
You
So I
see the
think that-
number?
But that 5852 refers to what? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Why the difference in numbers?
Because I am assuming this, they were calculating the
Oh.
total area being 10,000 square feet.
Got it. So what inside and
Now-
outside the
now they're
200 foot?
saying inside the riverfront area is 5,852, and they're saying outside is 5,064.
Got it. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So basically it was it's fun. I looked at the satellite history, and after the order of conditions was granted, when they went and cleared this, a year later, this didn't happen by accident. A year later, they pretty much put in what they wanted, regardless of that. Amy? Oh, you muted yourself.
Oh, sorry, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. So, and that's not supposed to happen. It's one thing for us to, see a few smaller things, such as the movement of the pool house. If you can pull up the layer that shows the existing trees by the pool house to see whether or not any of them disappeared.
That's all they had shown. I don't have, there were no more trees. They were not showing any more trees on this area. These were the trees that they were showing in this. Because apparently at that time, the work was not being done at the pool itself. They were doing work on the pool house. So these were the trees that were impacted, and obviously they kept the trees.
And was this originally an enforcement order that then became a notice of intent, or was
I
it?
don't believe so. I think at the beginning, they must have come at you guys for approval for the swimming pool, for the pool house the well, and for clearing this area. You approved all these trees in this area to be removed. And then additionally, these other trees were removed. Again, We don't think that was done intentionally, but we were not involved at the project at the very beginning, so.
Well, the whole idea, as I said, in order to see if it was done intentionally, would be to overlay one of the alternatives that they had proposed, which I seem to recall was a rectangle that was approximately 10,000 square feet, or slightly larger.
Let's see, option one. Does that look right to you? I'm
That looks
assuming
like it. Yeah, no, I remember the baseball diamond.
this is the baseball thing, so this would be option one. And they were going all the way up down to here,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously they didn't do. So you wanna, I can show you option two.
Sure. Let's take a look.
I mean, it would be great if we can find the resolution. So this is
Okay,
option
so
two.
similar. Mm-hmm.
Let's go to option three. This is
Still
the other
terrific.
option.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so are you proposing, what mitigation are you proposing besides having planted a few birch trees?
Well, so there you got 9 pine trees and 1 birch tree. So you're talking about 10 trees that were removed, 10 trees are there. It's already lawn on the ground. The area is heavily forested. I mean, I was hoping that the commission would approve the project as is, since so much time has gone by and the current owner hasn't done anything wrong. And when he bought the property, that's how he found the property to be.
Well, the initial, we've run into this more and more, which we sort of went through a little period where attorneys seem to be paying attention. And then we've they seem to have slipped back into their old habits here. So let's game this out and see where this goes. But the initial thing here is this is a
So this was the
if
version.
that they took this as is before without a COC. Their attorney should have either gotten money in escrow or dealt with it at the time. Janet, can you fill us in on what your review is telling you so far on this?
Yeah, I mean, so it's an unfortunate situation that the current homeowners find themselves in. But the reality is that this is a substantial violation of the order of conditions. It's not just lawn area, it's fenced. It's an area with very high wildlife habitat value, and a fenced lawn area that almost doubles what was allowed and permitted has a major impact in the area. I don't know if the commissioners want to take a look at it. It's a large area. If the area that was disturbed, that violated the order of conditions, was restored, it would still be a substantially large play area. So my concerns are that it's a violation that should be addressed, and the original order of condition site plan, it should be restored to those conditions as it was approved.
Mm-hmm. And so was the fence not originally part of that?
Wasn't shown on the plan.
On the earlier layers?
I didn't see a proposed fence.
No, so,
we were not part of that discussion.
Yeah, which is, big, and the other concern here is this is not a bylaw issue. This is a Rivers Act issue. I'm not sure if there are civil penalties that, that come along on the state level regarding this. So I think, and then are there, Janet, I wasn't sure, Artie, the stone
Yes.
walls that you showed in the front, were they existing or were they
Yes.
added?
Well, obviously they were existing because it's right next to the driveway. In order to put the driveway in, they had to have the walls up.
Don't know.
Well,
know,
so
part-
if it,
What layer on the plan is this? Is this showing, is this an early plan that shows these existing? or they
No,
weren't on the plan?
No, they were not on the plan at all. They were just showing the driveway. We did the survey, full survey of the site, locating all the retaining walls, because our goal was to create a document that showed what actually existed there. And in our opinion, you know, a retaining wall, it's a significant enough feature that we typically would show it on a plan that comes to Conservation Commission, even if it's not on the area that we are doing work.
Well, I'd want to have a little bit more proof than just that assumption there, you know, whether you can,
Well, if you look at the stones on the ground, I'm happy to meet you guys over there. If the commission picks a day that we would like to meet this on the site and you can see it on the ground. I think paper might not make justice. If we just all meet on the ground and take a look at this thing, I think you will see that, you know, the owner has tried to keep the place as pristine as possible. So
yeah, all that, you know, it's
it's
lovely.
all-
The previous owner decided to create a pristine palace and then basically paid no attention to things. That's what we're dealing with. And the homeowner, it's unfortunate, but you know, we're looking at some restoration here that isn't a matter of restoration around the borders. So I think what we'll commissioners, does anybody want to weigh in here relative to site visit or anything of that
I mean,
sort?
I'd be more than happy to do a site visit.
Mhm.
I mean, I think one of the things that I remember discussing was whether or not a play area met the requirement for doing anything in the riparian zone, even in the outer 100.
Mhm.
So the fact that we even allowed anything to happen here, I think was against some of our better judgment. And I guess we were right, because we were,
Well, I think that's something I'd like us to research a little bit
so
more.
I think we
You guys
should
go through your
research
notes.
the back story and, I mean, I found one of Paul's letters. I don't think it's all of them.
Mhm,
And it's addressed to Candace McCann, chairman. So that'll tell
Mhm.
you how long ago.
mhm.
Would it make sense to you guys if it is that we have Paul review his paperwork and maybe me and Paul meet on the site and try to come up with a solution to this, or how would you?
No, I
Or would
think,
you
I mean,
involve
Paul
in
may
it?
be,
How do you wanna do it?
Paul may be involved in this, but I think the commissioners, you know, should also be involved.
Sure, sure.
Paul, as we've gone over this, and as Jen pointed out, and I think you pointed out relative to riparian stuff, I believe if this is an existing lot in the outer riparian area, you actually have the ability to put a house. Is that correct?
If it were a pre-Rivers lot, in other words, a lot that existed
Mhm.
in its current form prior to 96,
Mm-hmm.
then.
Yes, it was done before 1996.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but then to answer your question, John, if it were an undeveloped lot prior, you know, that dated to pre-96, then the Rivers Act says that one can put a single family house on such a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, you know, when the commission reviewed this, you know, the house was there and this was an accessory to the existing house. So at that point, the Rivers regs have the limitation, you know, which I described in part, but there's really three parts to it. First part is stay out of the inner riparian, the first 100 feet of riverfront, and then to meet the 10% or 5,000 square feet, whichever is greater requirement limit. And as I think about this, it seems like the 5,000 square foot may have carried, but then in addition to that, which is I think what Amy was referring to, there has to be, in addition to meeting the 10% or 5,000 square foot threshold, there has to be no practicable and substantially equivalent economic alternative. And that's where, you know, there's real judgment involved in the commission. And I think that's probably what Amy's remembering is that whole alternatives analysis part of it. Because it's it's not enough to meet the numerical standard. One needs to meet the the alternative analysis standard.
Mhm. So
So
the, so it seemed to me there's a little bit more homework that is necessary to be done here, Artie, on your side. And I think the introduction of Paul in terms of reviewing this so that we can
So that
determine
for,
what the right action is here.
So
And that
if
would
we-
be,
Paul, for discussion purposes, it appears that the riverfront area on this lot, it's 8,250 square feet. So 10% of 8,000,
82,000, isn't it?
82,000, sorry, 82,
Yeah.
10% of the 82,000
Yeah.
would be
8,000.
8,000 square feet. So if we go with a version that the commission approved 5,000, and this is another 2,900, we're talking about less than 8,000 square feet.
Well, I think if you move back into the pool house and things of that area, that would all, I would imagine that would all be added. to that.
There was already a pool house there. They just reconfigured it.
No, I think
Yes,
the
sir.
pool house might have been closer to the house.
I think
but-
the other
was on the-
disturbance has to be counted.
All right.
Yeah.
Again,
And,
let's have Paul look at his paperwork and, maybe we can pick a date when we can meet on the site and see if we can find a solution to this.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, it's, I
But
clearly
I would like to be, I think a lot of the commissioners would like to be there as well.
Yes, of course.
Mhm.
So if,
But the question there is whether or not Paul and Artie should have some discussion prior to a site visit so that we're not into the site visit without having some of this information all pulled together so we can properly compare it. And those, for example, what you just did there on the fly with the 82,000 square feet, you have to review the minutes, review the original application and see where that number came in, because yeah, on its face, the facile use of just the 8,000 square feet in the play area, obviously there was something else at play there. And we need to have those questions reviewed and answered. So I think also with Paul Services, that would require a deposit on the from the homeowner relative to this. And Paul could get back to us with a quote of what sort of services he would engender being required there, and in a ballpark figure there. So why don't we? And then I think it would be appropriate for a site visit after that.
yes, but can we pick a date for the site visit so that we have a targeted date, and between then.
I think well, part of it, Paul, what's your, I mean, this isn't rocket science. It's really history that we're looking at here. Do you think this is something where we can incorporate a site visit and and your review at the same time, or would it be more effective to have you and Artie meet out there prior to a commission site visit?
Well, I think doing the record check first is I agree, that's the right idea. I think we need to understand, what did the old plans say? What did the old NOIs say? What did the commissions say back then? I think, Laurie was looking at something that I wrote. I'll have to pull that file and see. I can't get at my old files here at home electronically, but I'm sure I have them. So I think it would be important to understand the basis for the commission's decision, because as you said, clearly they wanted a rectangle. The commission said, no, you can have most of it, but you can't have all of it. And I think it's important to understand, where that decision came from.
Agreed. The only thing that I'm trying to do, Paul, is because the commission wants to do the site visit. If you find that you would like to do a visit before that, I'll be happy to meet you on site. But can we pick a date, maybe that me, you and the commission can meet? I mean, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now?
Part of that is going to be dependent upon the historical review. And both from on your side, on Janet's side, on Paul's side. So we're clearly not going to meet in the next 2 weeks. So I think this can be addressed, once you and Paul have taken a look at it. Is the homeowner selling the house?
No, he's not selling the house, but he would like to consider doing some renovation to the house, and then depending on what he decides to do, he might have an impact on the outside of the house or no. So if he doesn't do anything to the house, if it is that they decide not to do anything on the house on the outside, then there is no permit that needs to be pulled with you guys. But if they decide to do something, we can't move on with the next step without closing this one.
Well, it sounds if he hasn't made that decision, then it's probably going to take him 3 to 4 weeks regardless.
Yeah, well,
So-
again, I'm just trying to pick a
So
date.
no, I think the way I outlined it is appropriate. But we'll get Paul. Are you open to sending us a typical ballpark quote so that we
Sure,
can?
and I would view my scope as kind of review the records, maybe put together a brief summary memo.
Yeah.
Do a site walk, and then presumably an additional remote hearing.
Okay, and then Artie, as coming forward representing the current owners,
Yep.
a lot of that homework is actually contingent upon you. This information, as you just coming in saying, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Well, we don't know until you review that. And we
Well-
clearly, with the number of meetings that were involved, it was a big deal. So we're not, we have no inclination currently, unless you can properly show us something that we missed, to just let bygones be bygones. So let's figure out what reality was in the first place, and then we can move
Yep.
forward from there.
Hey, John, I don't mean to interrupt, but Anna has her hand up.
Oh, I can't see, I don't see her
Okay,
because,
So she's
I have
had
the
her
plan
hand
up
up for a
here.
while, so just,
yeah, so go ahead, Anna.
Oh, I appreciate that. I actually just put it down because what I was going to say is I would also very much appreciate the detailed records check. This is before my time, and obviously the history is important. So this sounds
But
like
I
a
don't
good
think
plan
it-
to me.
I don't think the work is incumbent upon commissioners to have to go dig all this up. Artie, this is a major break with what was originally approved. If you really want to make your case, you should feed it to us so that we see all of that.
I thought I just showed you the whole 7 versions.
No, we didn't know. But we didn't see the minutes. We don't see what the thought process was. I believe, if from what I recall, I'm not even sure about the stone walls, because I do remember severe slopes along a good portion of the wetland side of this lot that were
Well,
precarious. That didn't have
and I didn't, you are more than welcome to look at the minutes. I believe Janet already has looked at them, but I doubted that you're going to find anything different, but rather than take my opinion or Janet's opinion, I suggested that we have Paul that does this for a living, and he can look at it and he can give a report to the board, unless each one of the members of the board wants to go and look at the records
No,
themselves.
my point was that that it's going to be up to the homeowner to pay for Paul's services.
And we
in
agreed on
terms-
that. I said, fine.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, I understand. I'm just saying for general presentation purposes in the future, when you're, and you didn't do this originally, which is, we understand that, is that the more information you give us and help us along with, the better. And that's one of the other questions is, do you have an idea as to why your engineer missed this? In
Missed
his
what?
original review? I think,
It didn't miss. No, there is a note on the letter that we outlined. We said that there is a play area with a fence all around it. What Janet was referring is that we did not specify where the approved limit of work. When we do an as-built, we show what exists on the ground. What
but
Janet
isn't an
asked
as-built always shown relative to what the original was? You come in with an as-built foundation, you see what was
The
proposed
as-built is-
versus the actual.
well, no, we haven't done that. I mean,
Well, you did,
the
you
last-
have now, once it was brought to your attention. I mean,
Once the agent requested that we show it, we complied with her request. We showed the square footage and we revised the plan to show the line.
So I'm just letting you
We
know
didn't
in the
miss anything.
future, I'm saying in the future, an as-built is an as-built. It's an as-built compared to what was permitted. In the future, review it in a little bit more detail so
Sure.
that doesn't get overlooked. You know,
Of course.
Okay.
Yep.
So why don't we continue this to 2 weeks from now? You may or may not have much to show for that, but at least you're in the queue there. Paul will go ahead and send a letter in, which will be forwarded out to you and to the homeowner relative to the scope and cost of his services. And then there'll be a deposit made, and then
Sure.
we can move together and get this figured out. Okay?
Okay, yep.
John, this,
Are there any? Sorry, any other questions?
Janet has one.
Janet?
yeah, so I just want to clarify that the original certificate of compliance request
Mm-hmm.
did not address or call out this additional clearing in any way. It was only when I reviewed the original approval, looked at the as-built, and then went on to the site with Artie and brought this to his attention that there was this major violation and asked them to revise their certificate of compliance request. We rely and we require in the order of conditions that the certificate of compliance request letter from a PE or a land surveyor clearly call out any deviations, and we rely on that. I shouldn't have to
Number
dig in.
5, item number 5 on the letter states, lawn area is created with playground and surrounded by post and rail fence. It's one of the deviations that we have called out. What
No,
you
but
want
Artie,
additional
that
clarification.
that is not sufficient to
And
simply.
we
say
revised
that.
it, and we revised it.
So I think as I just mentioned earlier, in order to avoid this from happening in the past, an as-built is an as-built, whether you're doing an as-built for a foundation or for something for a COC, you need to show proposed versus the if there's any deviation, and show the difference on that as-built. So which it currently shows, but needed a little prodding to get there. Janet, did you discover this because you came out with the original, one of the original plans?
That's right. I came out with
Okay.
the approved plan.
Yeah, so that's not not difficult, but I think if someone's going to go ahead and stamp something,
Yep.
they should show it. Okay, then let's move on because we didn't make this happen. It happened elsewhere, and we want to get to the bottom of it, but would not prevent other people from being heard this evening. So send a request to Lori for continuance and
Sure.
and stay on top of this. Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Moving on for another COC, we have 14 Hamlin's Crossing. And Janet, why don't you fill us in on this?
Sure. So the owner has requested a continuance to the next meeting.
Okay.
They were not available to meet me on the site. However, just a heads up, I have not yet been to the site, but I've been informed that there's substantial unpermitted clearing on this lot. So I will find out more for our next meeting, but this is also a COC that could turn into an enforcement situation.
And
Mhm.
I'm trying to think, so I ride back there all the time. So I'm trying to think of where 14 Hamlin is. I know where 15 is. I'll try to go out, if not tomorrow, Friday on horseback and see what I can see.
Okay, great. Then that moves us on to 4 Haven Terrace. Now, actually, before we jump into 4 Haven Terrace, I see a few folks here for Miller Hill, and I didn't see them on the agenda. Are you just is that just for an update? Janet, do you know anything? Have you communicated with those parties?
Actually, so this was on the agenda, but under my agent's report. And so I
Okay.
think
Okay, no, that's fine. That's And while we have Paul here clearly for Fairhaven as well, so we will proceed with Fairhaven. So the why don't you, so there was a site visit, and there was with this was 2 weeks ago, I guess. Paul was there, Artie, Deb Anderson, Janet, Amy, myself, the homeowner. I don't know if was there anyone else there I missed? And Paul had already done some research, and so that part of what we saw was that there was some proposed work that was filling in a wetland was not done, therefore obviating the need for restoration or replication, as well as another area that was proposed for restoration that has naturally become a wetland. So Paul, why don't you fill us in on what we're looking at and what our net effect appears to be?
Sure. Do you want me to go through my what was the date, August 16 letter I can share, or do you just kind of?
Sure. No, I think that'd be great. I think that's helpful for anyone to see.
All right. All right, am I up here?
Yep, you up?
Okay, so this is a letter that the chairman had asked me to put together following the 8-2 site meeting with the folks that he mentioned. So one of the big things, as John said, was that the notice of intent, when it was originally filed, proposed to fill some, do some grading in the back of the house. Early on in that process, the commission asked me to go out, review the wetland delineation, made some adjustments to that, which included some areas on the basis of hydric soils where that bordering vegetative wetland boundary came up into the rear lawn. So the proposal was initially to grade over that area and fill, I want to say 700 or 800 square feet of that, what I refer to as turf BVW. During the NOI process, the applicant, as part of that proposal, had proposed a number of pieces of mitigation. The mitigation included wetland replication, some invasives management, that sort of thing. There was not a clear tallying of, we proposed to fill X number of square feet of wetland, and we propose to therefore replicate 2X for that. It was, in my view and in my recollection, a bit of a throw everything at it in terms of mitigation approach, basically to entice the commission to approve the project. During that process, I had commented that the applicant needed to submit a waiver request and talk about the waiver request and the hardship. I think in reading that and realizing the difficulty in accomplishing that, the plan was revised and no wetlands fill was proposed. When we went and looked at the backyard a couple of weeks ago, it was clear to me that the fill in fact had not happened, so that consistent with the revised NOI, there was no wetlands fill. The mitigation that was proposed initially remained as part of the NOI, even when the wetlands fill was removed from the proposal. So one of the things that was proposed and approved was that there was a garage out really in the area that's now become overgrown as a meadow. There was an old garage there on a slab foundation that was proposed to be removed. It was removed. That area has recolonized as a wet meadow BVW. So in that footprint and immediately around that garage, some in my view, very effective wetland mitigation actually occurred. The other thing that happened, consistent with what was supposed to happen, was that the rear of the lawn was to be marked with bounds, and the area behind that, which was at the time of the filing was kind of an overgrown lawn, that area was to remain unmanaged and grow up, and that in fact has happened. You know, it's a tall meadow area there. There are a lot of goldenrods, a couple species of goldenrods, but some other species as well. Some soft rush. There's some tussock sedge in there, and some other sedges in there. Part of it is wetland species dominated. Part of it is not. So we then considered the issue of, okay, what about all the rest of this wetland replication that was proposed? And I use the word, you know, it's problematic for several reasons. This area was reviewed back in, delineated reviewed back in 2015, 8 years ago. Some of the area that was delineated as upland, and which I concurred at an upland plant community, now has a predominance of wetland vegetation. Other portions that would still, in my opinion, qualify as not being part of the wetland do so only by a small margin. In other words, those areas are elevated above the wetlands elevation, but by less than a foot. So if one were to establish wetland hydrology at those locations, it frankly would really only result in a fairly modest change in grade. With respect to that modest change in grade, one of the problems that one has when you have a gradual slope and a gradual transition from upland to wetland, when you do wetland replication, you have to butt that replication area up against your existing wetland. The boundary of that existing wetland is really, by definition, barely a wetland. So you don't want to create a wetland replication area that's barely a wetland. You want it to be kind of a solid wetland hydrology, which means then that your replicated wetland will be at a lower grade than your existing wetland to which you abut. The only way to get around that issue is to actually excavate into the existing wetland. So this is a problem that one always has in doing replication in areas with shallow grade. We always look for areas where there's a very abrupt topographic transition between the wetland and the upland, which helps to avoid that situation. The last thing we did note an area that Deb Anderson and I had noted and talked about in the past, where there's an area that was essentially probably an old homeowner dumping ground. There's a lot of concrete block and that sort of thing in there. And then the last point was that portions of the replication area consist of the meadow that I described, but there are other portions where there are some trees that would be that would require removal. So the concrete block area in terms of mitigation is, you know, I view that as kind of low-hanging fruit, something that clearly should be done. It could be done with minimal disturbance. So whatever happens, you know, in my view, that should occur. So during the site walk, it was discussed as an alternative to you know, this excavation work for the replication, an alternative suite of mitigation measures, excuse me. Invasives management under a plan that Deb Anderson would prepare, a meadow management plan, because again, the meadow habitat is interesting because it's meadow habitat. It's interesting and it's valuable because it's meadow habitat. If you leave a meadow unmanaged, eventually the woody vegetation will come in. you get shrubs, you get brambles and that sort of thing. And then eventually you'll get, colonizing trees. And over time, absent management, it won't be a meadow anymore. So if the commission, wants to maintain that meadow in perpetuity, there needs to be a management plan that would need to be a continuing condition. As I noted, there were survey bounds put in. They're flush to the ground. There was discussion about, having bounds that are flush to the ground, having minimal value in terms of providing a obvious and physical barrier to, lawn creep towards the rear. Concrete blocks, the owner was amenable to cleaning that up, by hand and wheelbarrow. And then Deb Anderson had previously proposed a planting plan which included a row of shrubs along the back edge of the lawn there. My comment there was that if that's something that is to be implemented, the shrubs need to be very substantial, because the meadow is 3 or 4 feet tall. If you put in 2 or 3 foot tall shrubs in there, they'll just be shaded out. So in terms of summary, my points are that because there was no wetland fill, there is actually no statutory requirement for wetland replication. I didn't mention earlier, but the large replication area, appears to be, as I said, a bit of a throw everything, at it in terms of mitigation options. But one thing that did occur with this project is this was a house replacement project, but a replacement with a larger house. So the house did extend into the commission's setbacks. As I said, the garage has resulted in several hundred square feet of BVW replication that is definitely successful. I talked about, denuding the replication footprint. The meadow is, in my view, kind of unique and valuable habitat. We have less and less meadow all the time in Massachusetts. I think the commission has heard me in the past. I talk about, in my view, what you can do, and I try to help you understand that. I tend to try to stay away and leave to the commission's discretion what you should do. In my view, you can, under the regulations, you can approve such an alternative mitigation plan without the 4,000 square feet of replication, and not have violated any regulations, because there was no wetlands fill. And so I think you have the ability to exercise your judgment to allow, this alternative mitigation approach, or a different one, or frankly to kind of stick to your guns, of the original, and require that replication. But do recognize that there's some collateral damage that would be associated with that. So
Great, thanks, Paul. Commissioners, does anyone have anything they'd like to speak to? Okay, and Janet, your take on this?
Yeah, I think this is a well-founded, reasonable approach. Just a reminder, in developing the invasive management plan, no herbicide use. If herbicides are needed, the homeowner can request a waiver on that. And then also a reminder that we still need the deed restriction to be in place. And I'd recommend, just given the history on this, that we require these additional things: the invasive management plan, the meadow management plan, the concrete bound alterations, and the deed language, that all of those things be in place and demonstrated before we approve the amendment to the order of condition. And those things would be incorporated then in the amendment approval.
Okay, so we're looking at this as a, okay, as an amendment approval. I'll just have my own, in concordance with Paul. One of the things we constantly hear about is restoration or replication with a high failure rate. And that's why we require 150% coefficient for that. This meadow is pretty exceptional. It's very dense. And as you parted the taller goldenrod and other species, it was clear that there was a fair amount of wetland indicative species lower down. And it's much different and better than the old garage and fingers of long-term 4 to 5 inch fill that had been put there years ago. So this really is a thriving area compared to what was originally there, pre-building with the original house that there. So it's I would tend to agree with Paul. I do absolutely agree with Paul's concerns and his recommendations here. And I think Deb Anderson, it seems that what Paul's outlined and Janet also referred to are basically things that you had already discussed as doing on the site. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. I had pointed out that the meadow would be a great habitat, and keeping that would be a great value. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. And there had been some talk to the right of the meadow, there's a almost triangular piece of land that had a couple trees there, crab apples maybe.
We propose plantings in that area as well.
Yeah. Okay. And do you have, as part of this amendment, do you have a plan that shows that I can't recall whether you submitted a plan that shows your plantings and the areas of
Yeah, I think Artie might have it to pull it up.
Okay.
But
And so this seems to, based upon our recognition that things didn't get filled and that some of the replication proposed was actually almost a quid pro quo for the expansion into the buffer area for a developer. This seems to have come around close to what your original proposal was. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, Artie, do you have the plan? Is he there?
Paul, can you take your letter down and then we can see? Thank you. We have Artie there. Oh, there he is. Artie, can you unmute?
Yeah, we can't hear. You're muted, Artie.
He's still talking to himself.
He is, huh?
Yeah. Oh, it's still not working.
I mean, this is the owner. I actually have the plan up. I can share it as well.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, because I mean, Artie's working with
Okay.
Windows 5, so okay.
Oh my goodness. Can I share here?
Spoke too soon.
I'll have to drop and rejoin.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just, Artie, can you you can't speak at all? Is that what's happening here?
Here, I'll try calling him.
It just won't unmute.
For some reason, it
There,
wasn't.
there we go.
Hold it,
We
hold
got
it,
you.
Hold it.
Can you put the plan up, Artie?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Oh,
You're
can you do-
amazing.
can you speak to
Share.
the plan at the same time? There we go.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay, so how does it look?
Black.
We don't see anything.
Let's share.
Did you close out the 10 Draper Road file by any chance?
Yes, I closed those.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Trying to do share again.
Okay.
How about
There we
now?
go. Okay. Yep. You're up.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So based on what you heard from Paul, and then based on what you've proposed on this plan, why don't you fill us in on what your the differences that may exist on the, what Paul discussed, what we sort of agreed to, and what you've proposed here.
Can you zoom it in a little, Artie?
Which part do you want me to zoom in?
Oh no, down out to,
Is
Yeah.
that good?
and then over to, and then show us the right side.
Yeah, on the right-hand side, show us the plan part more.
There we go. Yeah.
Eight. Okay, so you can see the proposed 5-foot vegetated buffer strip.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Paul had mentioned at the site visit that the arrangement of the plantings kind of goes from more upland species to more wet species towards the center. And I think we should be able to get specimens of the size that that Paul was mentioning for that area, and also pulling up those bounds that are located along that area.
And I think you had mentioned on site, Deb, that as you look at the planting plan where A, B, C, so forth, that you that's done for a reason. And those as you go to the center where things were wet, you have wetland oriented shrubs and more upland oriented shrubs onto the edges.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the same with the triangular area that you were talking about to the right. So we'll be adding shrub species in there as well. Further to the right, can you pull it over a little bit, Artie? Towards the right. So that area where the proposed conservation seed mix, so that was proposed originally along that area where the existing well is. So we're still proposing to add that in. You can see further back in the plan where the cement debris is, the circle. So that's the area that we will be removing all of that material by hand. And you can see the two areas where the wetlands were reestablished, the area where the garage was removed. That's about 756 square feet. And the other area, can you point out the other area?
You see,
Oh, there it is.
wetlands.
Yeah,
So-
and that area in there is about 462 square feet. And then we're proposing an overall invasive species removal plan. I have notes on what we need, so I'll put that plan together. And we understand that when you remove the invasives that you need to fill in with native species, so that the invasives don't reestablish.
And
So
what area? What
Okay.
area are you looking at doing that?
So throughout the site.
Okay.
And so part of that will be, I'll go out and I'll tag what is invasive, color coded, so that we know what we're removing. And then we'll have a list of species that for potential replacements where we remove things.
Okay.
And we'll put together that meadow management plan so that that does stay a meadow, and we keep the woody species out of there. So essentially this is the plan. We would remove the proposed replication areas, or replication area, and put together the invasive plan.
Okay.
John, just a small bookkeeping thing.
Yep.
It was, I don't think there was a consensus from the small group that was there of the commissioners in terms of how high the bounds should be. It'd be nice to get
I think,
that.
well, yeah, because we basically, we're not allowed to reach consensus or discuss things directly like that. So I think our typical thing has been 18 inches. Any commissioners or Janet, any input on that?
That's right, 18 inches, and then we have required the cap. I know Artie has seen our aluminum cap we like to see.
So that people aren't just looking at monoliths in their backyard, it will actually tell them why they're there. in future generations. And I think one of the options that are not an option, but as people discussed, the bounds like that are can typically be they're probably at least 3 feet deep. They should be able to be pulled out, just reset. So unless they were, even if they're done in concrete, they can still be pulled up and still stay in place. So that's if that doesn't work.
I am sure that they didn't put concrete on those
Yeah,
bounds.
so might be easier, just pull them out, put some gravel in the base and put them back in. So whatever works. The other question I had is whether on well, I guess why don't we do this, and then on an as-built for a COC, where it says proposed replication area, whether you want to reflag that possibly with a different color to show that it's currently, that it's an additional wetland. That's open to discussion, not critical, but just a thought. Are there any other questions concerning this from commissioners?
And are we okay with not putting a fence on the back there?
A fence where
Where the bounds are?
Well, you're proposing as your amendment to replace the fence with these plantings, correct?
Correct.
That's the idea.
So I think that would just be outlined in your amendment.
Okay, perfect.
And we're not voting on that right at the moment, but we're
Okay.
yeah. But I think you're picking up our drift, and vice versa.
Just making sure.
Paul, you look like you were going to say something.
Yes, thank you. With respect to the issue about where the wetlands, where the wetlands boundary we decided is different from was shown 8 years ago. I'd be reluctant to change part of it. I would perhaps just require a note on the plan saying that wetland boundaries for future projects need to be reevaluated, and this plan, shouldn't rely on this plan, something to that effect.
As a note that with an arrow to that location in particular, or just in general?
No, I would make it, I would make it, for the whole, just to.
They would need to anyways, because it's older than 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good point. So, okay. And Janet,
I wouldn't. My point is that I wouldn't amend part of that boundary, because that implies that the rest is good.
Got it.
Which isn't necessarily the case.
Yep. No, I think we'll work with what we have here. So I appreciate that. Janet, do you have anything else to add?
So I think also when we approve the amendment, once we have all this additional information, I would recommend that we have at least one of each of our signs installed, the no dumping, no pesticides, fertilizers, and no de-icing.
I agree.
Did you want a deed, an amendment on the deed or some kind of language in the deed?
Well, there is so we're looking for a deed restriction that didn't get recorded. Is that correct, Janet?
So it's due, it was due when the certificate of compliance
okay.
was requested, is when the deed had been due. So it hasn't been.
So if Janet can review that, if it needs any additional tweaking to reflect any of this, I think that would be appropriate. Anything else from anyone?
So will you be requiring a monitoring period?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Clearly. Clearly, but for both
Invasives
invasives
and the plantings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the meadow. The meadow looks impenetrable right now, but things happen. So I think a plan for all of that would be appropriate.
Okay.
So just to clarify, what I would recommend the process be that we get this additional information, the 2 different management plans, and whatever else was required here. Oh, the planting plan alteration. and then we review that. And I would prepare some additional special conditions to then be approved with the amendment.
And such as signage and things of that sort, or what else do you have in mind that
Yes,
would be?
signage, and then with the invasive management plan, we have about
Mhm.
10 standard conditions, including the survival rate, the replacement, and the monitoring report information.
Okay. Okay, any other questions from anyone or DeWalt or anyone? Okay, then let's go ahead and continue this and proceed when we get the information. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
When is
you.
the next meeting?
Lori and Artie, you can take the plan down.
September 13th.
Okay. And I'm not sure, do you think that you'll have those plans in within the next week or so? Or actually, so we get an extra week because of the end of August. So do you think we'd have them
No,
within?
I'm planning on it.
Okay, great. And you actually have almost 2 weeks for that. So, okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then looking at minutes, I don't know if folks had a chance to review the minutes as well as Janet's edits. Yes, no. And I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the minutes of 5/24/23 as with the corrections and additions by Janet.
Okay,
Second,
thank you. All in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Sarah?
aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, great. Let's see. Tell you what, why don't we, on the discussion regarding Representative Open Space, why don't we move that a little later, and let's just do updates relative to the first one. Let's move up to the Miller Hill enforcement order update, because we have some people here for that. Okay, and Janet, why don't you go ahead with that, please?
Okay, so if everyone will recall at the last meeting, Paul had submitted his wetland delineation review report. We asked that the owner of 12 Miller Hill and his representatives revise their site plan. We just received that. That has gone out to the commission and I believe all the other parties involved. The next step that we had discussed was a discussion and specifying the restoration requirements under the enforcement order. I sent out a memo on Monday with some suggestions. This is an extensive alteration in the buffer zone and also within the BVW in some small areas. And so I don't think we've had a restoration requirement in an enforcement order as extensive as what we're looking at. I would see this as a first discussion of these requirements, but this certainly will give Brian at Metro West and his team an idea of what we're looking for. I will note one thing that we did ask for at the last meeting that should also be included was an Excel spreadsheet of the removed trees in and outside the buffer zone with DBH and specific species identified. I don't think we have that. But that would be another piece of information that we are going to need to really be able to review and approve an adequate restoration. So, John, I don't know if you and the commission want to review all of my recommended requirements or perhaps just ask for feedback on that And I don't know if Paul's had a chance to review that in detail either. But we are talking about a substantial restoration here. So I think it's important that we get this right before Metro West and whoever they hire to do the restoration, before they jump into that process, that we're really clear what our expectations are.
Well, thanks, Janet. One of the things, Brian, if you can have whoever's doing the spreadsheet, could you have them sum the DBHs down at the bottom so we see total amounts that we're dealing with? My concern on this that we've encountered in the very few situations where we've had a high density of trees cut down is that replication, trying to incorporate the total number of DBH is difficult, because if all you're doing is putting in 2-inch trees, then you will saturate the area of trees and not be able to get to DBH. So I think that's because of the nature of this, the unusual nature of this, Brian, as well as your arborist and replication person, should address that as to how that's done appropriately. I also view this as separate from the Farm Street property, where we will want to have at least those our regulations met, but that the homeowner may be looking for something more significant in terms of size, and that's going to be something that those parties will flesh out, as long as it's equal to or greater than what we require as at a minimum. So I could see this being defined and then redefined or added to on the Rollins property there. But give some thought to how we're going to best approach the replanting of this here, because we certainly can't go ahead and put in 500 trees trying to get our inches. Okay.
No,
and
just if I may, just a quick point. I did look
Yeah.
at the revised plan relative to my proposed flag edits, and it does seem to have adequately done what I had recommended.
Thanks. And Paul, have you encountered this sort of replication on this scale before, in terms of how one deals with the diameter of the trees cut down versus what can be put in place?
I have, and your point's well taken. You don't, you cut down a 36-inch tree, you don't want to plant 18 2-inch trees. It just doesn't make sense. It's a difficult issue. Obviously you want to plant the largest trees feasible, but this is a difficult site. It's a tough slope, and I agree with you. It doesn't make sense. There is not a great solution that I have seen. In terms of the one-to-one for caliber.
Right. Well, Ken, your restoration expert, literally the person who wrote the book, may give you guys some ideas on that. But I think one of the things to look at, Brian and Peter, possibly is what mechanism exists within the state or town bylaw for in our town bylaw. We have we make a reference to potentially planting on other locations beyond the lot in question because of this issue, and so whether that may be something that may need to be sussed out as well, because we may not be able to reach the required inches here. Janet, is there anything? And so I think what we'll do is we'll review Janet's recommendations. We'll also take a closer look at the plan. It is kind of eye-opening. If Brian, if you can get us the spreadsheet numbers sooner rather than later, please, and some of those columns. So we have an idea what we're looking at. Is there anything, any questions from anyone concerning moving forward from here? Okay, then we will continue to monitor this on a 2-week basis. And let's see what we can, let's try to get something going.
Excuse
in the
me.
term.
I
Sorry.
apologize. I had trouble raising my hand, if I may speak.
Okay, yeah, we had somebody else was just waving. So you are Caroline?
Yep, Caroline Smith, McGregor, Leger, and Stevens, representing
okay.
Kevin and
Yep.
Debbie Rollins. Just wanted to thank you all in the commission for working on this. We're continuing to support you. Debbie and Kevin Rollins are really appreciative that you're keeping on top of this and looking forward to getting this resolved as expeditiously as possible as the fall planting season arrives. And we can certainly reach out to our consultants about the replication of the DBH, and happy to send any suggestions or ideas that we can brainstorm to the commission. So, and we appreciate the memo that Janet circulated. Looks great to us, and we certainly have thought of some of these ideas, such as invasive species management, to hopefully replicate that on the rest of the property. So thank you all for your time.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Ken, you were waving?
No, I just wanted you to recognize Caroline since she's our representative
okay.
tonight.
So it was a
thank
wave
you.
for a wave, got it.
Yeah,
Thanks. Okay, then if there's any further discussion concerning this evening. Okay, thank you everyone for your patience. We will proceed apace, and thank you again. Have a good night. Let's see, then we will move over to the discussion relative to recommending a Conservation Commission representative to Open Space Committee. How many people have stepped back? And
John,
yes,
I just have a quick question before Paul drops off. I'm just wondering if we have a third party quote from him for the work at 12 Miller Hill, and if we have a check, if that's in escrow already.
good question.
I don't think I provided anything. It was kind of a short notice.
Notice.
You know, trying to
Okay.
keep this moving. I haven't spent a tremendous amount of time. But I could do that, time to date, and kind of take a shot at what I think would be asked of me going forward.
Okay, why don't we do that? And also any resources that you could reach out to relative to addressing the question of replication, relative to DBH and so forth.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And also, sorry, one last comment for Paul. We are expecting tomorrow the ANRAD for the 1517 Junction Street Pulte project. And I would strongly recommend that we have Paul do a third-party review of that. That's an LEC delineation and application, but we're expecting that tomorrow. I guess we can wait until our hearing to decide to bring Paul on, or the commission could, sort of be more proactive and agree to have him look at that before the hearing, since we have a 3-week span now between meetings.
So interesting. So the last time around with Red Robin, were you involved in that, Paul?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I just didn't want to make sure we weren't stepping on ZBA's toes, before the fact. So I see no problem with that. Any commissioners disagree with that?
No,
Well,
the only
Amy?
question
problem.
is the applicant hasn't requested that
anything?
we look at it yet.
Well, that's how
So
we
how
would.
do we get them to approve?
Well, I think that would be our the way we deal with any applicant. If they provide an ANRAD for a sophisticated site, then we say we're going to need somebody from the outside to review that.
Right, I understand, but how do we present them with a quote from somebody from the outside before we've even told them we need outside? I
Well,
guess
if
I'm
we're-
just wondering why we're jumping through hoops to move quickly on something that's gonna be hopefully an incredibly long process, because I think it's gonna be very complicated.
Mhm.
That's all.
No, it's a reasonable question. There's no reason to hustle things along. It was just more the fact that we have a 3-week period, and it will be coming in front of us at the next meeting. If Paul had an ability to walk the site prior to that, we'd get a little bit more information. So I don't have a problem with that component of it. We know Jen, you've already been told that they're submitting it tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
And we just, I mean, I think we just need to follow the same process with them that we follow with other applicants. I don't want to seem like we're moving faster or slower with one.
Well, I think
versus
given
another, 'cause
the
I think there's some local builders that might be annoyed if we seem to be moving things faster for
I'm looking at a
a
3-week
national
time frame
builder,
rather than
that's all.
2-week. And we've been promised this. All we're looking is for Paul to give us a quote. We're not saying, but that it'll be out there. It's just a matter of covering it so that we're prepared. What other builders think about it? This is no different. If somebody has told us that they're coming in with something, we've let them know. Very often, most builders think it's no big deal. It's us telling them it's a big deal. This one we know is a big deal. So I understand your concern there. I personally don't have a problem with it. And I think to go the other way may be willfully trying to extend things, and I don't.
No, I'm not trying to extend things. I'm just trying to be sensitive to some other builders, local builders that are believe that we are difficult to work with.
Well,
They're difficult to work with, but
yeah, go
I'm
ahead,
with
Anna.
Amy on this. Yeah, I just want to say I'm with Amy on this. I think it's good and makes sense to have Paul review. Obviously, I really trust your review, but I also think that getting a quote before an application is a little fast.
Interesting. I don't see the difference by a day. I don't. Tim, do you have any?
No, I don't. And not to be snide, but the builders are only allowed to annoy us. We're not allowed to annoy them.
Well,
no,
I
don't think. I think that we have to pursue things so that we can move things as quickly as possible. And if we're proactive and are prepared, that's better.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is we have very few builders that we have Paul review the NRAD. We just don't. It's not that type of thing. And the one, so I don't see a problem with having Paul give us a quote, and then so we'll. I suppose we could vote on it, or the chair can just.
Well, no, I mean,
stay
I
on
agree too. I agree with what you're saying, John.
Okay, so
it's fine. I just wanted to
bring
voice
up the
our
concern, and
that
I
we don't
yeah.
try and show favoritism.
I wasn't even thinking of it in that scale. I was just thinking that we have,
at all.
I was thinking of
I don't see how it's
3 weeks
favoritism.
versus
It's
yeah. It's just good management. I think it's just managing our time, so that things don't get crunched up. So okay, then why don't we go ahead, Paul?
So Janet, I expect you'll get this filing electronically.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So if you can just forward that along, I'll direct a quote back to the
Laurie.
commission through Janet, and Laurie, and then I'll wait to hear from the commission.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
And
Let's see. Do we have anything else for Paul tonight?
Yes, so one other heads up, we may be receiving 4 NOIs for the properties that are coming under a 40B application on Trout Brook and Edgewater.
Mhm.
It's up to them. They just opened the ZBA hearing, but Scott Goddard is the project manager and has indicated that he wanted to concurrently come to the Concom, which could be problematic in a lot of ways. But anyways, just a heads up that we may also be receiving those tomorrow by the deadline.
Okay, and that's the same properties where we did the ANRAD review a year ago, correct?
Correct.
So
And
Janet-
interesting, Paul,
Sorry.
if Paul, if you have a chance, if you can go to the ZBA site, you can see their proposed house locations and things of that
Oh, okay.
nature. And one of the questions I'd raised, and Carol Lisbon had partially answered, was that the flood plain down there is used 108 feet as its delineation for years. And I asked whether or not there was anything being redrawn from FEMA or anybody like that relative to, weather changes that we've had over the last few decades. And so Scott didn't think so. Carol, however, said that she'd been notified that FEMA was indeed going to be presenting something like that concerning that in September. So if you could put the feelers out to see what if that is real or not, because if they were to move from 108 to 109, it changes a lot of their landscaping and locations of things.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
I'll see if I can figure something out.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, last time. Anything else for Paul? Okay. Have a good night. Thanks.
All right, you too. Have a good night.
Thanks for your
all.
help. Much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Well, what I noticed is we have 2 potential new commissioners, if they've stuck with us so far. I think it's 2. Is it I'm not sure if Martin is one or if he's just hanging out for the night. But Lori, do you know?
Yes, Amira is here on the call,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that it is just her tonight.
Oh, okay. So Martin.
I don't see the other person on.
Wojciechowski. Oh, okay. I just didn't. Yeah, I didn't know. Okay. So so welcome. Thanks for sitting in. Appreciate it. I think what we're going to do is going to go through and finish up our item agendas. That way you get a true sense of how things are done, and then we can chat at the end. It'd be great. Okay. Okay, Janet, why don't you carry on then, please?
Okay, let's see, just a couple updates on things that are coming online. We have a lot of permits that we've approved in the last couple of months. They seem to all be starting at the same time. So I've had like 9 pre-construction meetings in the last 10 days. One is the solar array project at 33 Glen. So they'll be starting that. It's interesting, they've scaled it back a bit because Eversource denied their request, their kilowatt request. Apparently, I just found this fascinating and disturbing that a utility who's just the distributor has the legal authority to deny people who want to put solar arrays on their property, that they can limit the amount. So the homeowners are only going to be able to provide about half of the kilowattage they wanted. And the price tag for this project is $800,000. They do use a lot of electricity and their payback time is about 12 years, which is amazing. But it's really disturbing that.
So the homeowner has to pay $800,000?
That's the installation cost, yes.
What's the kilowattage? Do you know?
No, I don't have that in front of
A
me.
lot.
It was like 200,000 or something. I mean,
And the 800 doesn't count the cost of buying the field that they're putting it in.
So that's permitting and all the other costs to get this up and running. You know,
Yep.
the actual cost of the panels is quite low. But
Hmm.
utilities are
Oh,
not
right.
making this easy for people to try to put in solar. It's really, I was just astounded, but anyways, so that's coming online. There's really no wetland impact there. 29 Saddle Ridge Road, that enforcement order. They have hired Deb Anderson and Cheney Engineering to put together the wetland delineation and plan, so we should have that for our next meeting. The next item, at our last meeting, we talked about the selectmen's memo that asked for feedback on their FY 24 goals and priorities. And I had drafted a memo and I got that out kind of late yesterday. But I'm wondering if people have had a chance to look at that. We did already miss the deadline on this, but I think it'd be important for us to get our thoughts to the selectmen. A lot of what's on here is what other boards that issue permits are concerned about as well. So I don't know if people had any feedback or had a chance to look at that and have any questions.
I
No,
thought
but
it
can you,
was good.
what's that?
I had a chance to look at it and I thought it was good, and like Janet said, it just reinforces mostly what others are saying, a little bit broader in terms of one of the other Board of Health was asking about water quality and quantity, and Janet wants a more comprehensive climate resilience committee, which would incorporate the water aspects. So I thought it was just a little bit broader, which I thought was a better idea.
I like the climate resiliency. I definitely want to see everyone else, like the other boards, focus on water, but even if that was separate, I like that last idea too.
Oh, and then, yeah, I see the online permitting system as well, which many towns that I work with have it. And it makes things, it makes things effortless and yet frustrating when the computer doesn't understand something that might be a little different. So but what it does do is it then ties into number 2, because everything that goes through the permitting system is already into the storage system. So that's very helpful as well, and incorporated within that entire software ecosystem so that people know how to get to it, which is nice.
And everyone, I'm assuming then that every branch of, let's say, Dover is incorporated into that permitting, like.
Typically, that's the way it works in other towns, so they can
Right.
easily look in at another, rather than using SneakerNet, they can actually pull it up on their desktop and see what's been submitted to other boards.
Okay.
So it is very helpful. No, that looks pretty good. I thought page 2 was particularly salient.
Oh, yeah. I did too. I was like,
Just kidding.
I was like, wow.
So, Amira, just let you know, there was just a blank page, so it was just,
No, but page 4 was the whole, anyway.
oh, no, I was looking at Janet's response, not the selectmen. Okay, then continue, Janet. Thanks. That looks, one of people
Do
give
we
that
need
some
to
thought.
vote to send it to the selectmen?
Well, does anyone think they might come up with something else to add to it?
Can I propose if we do, we send it separately so we at least get Janet's 5
Sure.
things in?
Okay, I think that's a reasonable request. So entertain a motion to have that Janet's memorandum sent to the selectmen.
Move to send the memorandum to the selectmen.
And I got a muted second on that. All in
All right,
favor?
sorry, a second.
All in favor, Sarah,
Hi.
Amy,
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
and I'm an I as well. Okay. Okay, next, Jan?
And I did CC the other boards that we work with on here. I thought that might be a good idea, just so they see what we've submitted.
So you CC'd this before we voted on it, or?
Oh, no, it's just
Oh.
it was approved, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Okay, so we discussed Miller Hill already. We discussed the Pulte project. Trout Brook, we discussed. Carol Lisbon had called me on a couple of things, and she had wanted me to ask you, John, if you received the memo from Alan Fryer at the ZBA, asking for the commission's feedback or any recommendations on the Trout Brook ZBA application. Do you remember seeing?
I did see that, and I think part of it is we have the ANRAD. We saw, and I saw the lots that were presented, proposed to ZBA.
Yeah.
But I don't think until we have them in front of us, we have, I can't think of anything, I'm open to input, but I don't have much to add. Go ahead, Amy.
I guess I thought that was the responsibility of the applicant to say what waivers and things they needed. Is that my remembering from Red Robin, or is that not what?
Well, I
Alan
think part
was
of it
asking
is until they should, but we can't even give them any guidance until they submit something to us. So it's a cart before the horse situation right at the moment. I think one of the things that was answered at the ZBA meeting, the public hearing they had on the initial presentation, was that the head scratcher was, how do you have a bunch of divided lots, non-contiguous lots, that get mass housing approval? And they did so by basically saying that the entire subdivision is a neighborhood, and so that if they're all within the same neighborhood, then as far as mass housing is concerned, that qualifies. And so that addressed the non-contiguous nature of the
they're going to build one really cheap house and the rest are going to be McMansions?
No, actually, they're not allowed to build a house that looks cheap. The houses, so they address that. The house that the subsidized house will look almost identical, but they won't be finishing certain rooms such as over the garage and the basement and things like that in order to lower the cost. But the exterior has to look in keeping with the other houses. And so and what they showed for elevations and floor plans and the stuff seem to address that. Mass
I
housing.
had another meeting that night. So.
Yeah, mass housing is looking over their shoulder, to be sure as well. So that was a very helpful meeting. It answered some of those questions. That's when I noticed on the plans how crucial the 108 floodplain was for them, and that may be something behind it. As they try to push this along, which they have every right to do. We don't want to have something show up, right after.
Even if the floodplain isn't officially changed, the idea of having a finished basement in that neighborhood's almost comical.
Well, that is, yeah. So that did not come up because I just didn't want to speak again. But their water table is around 4 feet down, and I didn't see 4 feet of additional fill, which means that the basement floor may be 4 feet below the water table, but I don't know. Wishful think. I have no idea, but that's not not our purview right at the moment. Indoor pools.
It's not our problem. But I just feel really bad for these people that are going to be. They're going to be.
And I don't know.
Well, or it's also that we need to be thinking about how to protect the wetlands and the floodplains from less informed buyers coming in and having major problems, with the properties. And and being forced to do some kind of drainage or other mitigation measures, or, you know, actually wanting a backyard instead of a bunch of wetland plants. And, you know,
Well, it brings up an interesting point. I
so
wonder
we
how
have to
much-
be doing a little defense of
Yeah, I think
future enforcement orders on,
Yeah.
as we look at these plans. I obviously haven't seen any of the plans. I've just seen the NRADs and
So
looked at
we
the
have
plans.
a whole
Why would I
neighborhood.
want to live there?
We have a whole neighborhood, you know, the Greystone, that whole area probably never should have been built. Everybody has a wet basement.
Right,
Well,
but
and this is
it's on the top of a ridge and it's still got. a wet basement.
right. So no, I think, I mean, we can only discuss so much before, you know, until they submit, but.
No,
but
no,
think
I
these-
totally
but these are
understand. I'm
all-
just saying.
But
we have
these
to
are
play
all,
a
these are
little
all things to
defense
take in
here.
mind. For example, you know, if it's not appropriately addressed, then some homeowner is going to try to address it themselves, and then we get involved in all that.
Right,
extra
I'm just
work.
trying to keep us
Yeah.
from being inundated with enforcement orders for the next 20 years.
So if people can take a look at the ZBA page, you'll see the proposed houses, and just look at the grading around there so that you might be prepared for things, so that we can ask Mr. Goddard how they expect to deal with certain things. And I think that's all we can really talk about tonight relative to this until they're actually in front of us. And also just have our regulations floating around our heads, so, you know, proposed waivers. And I did ask a question relative to Army Corps. Again, one of them is right up against Trout Brook. And the answer was so vanilla, I can't really remember if it addressed, you know, if it actually answered anything. So, you know, that's something we'll address when they're in front of us.
So Janet, did you have to, or maybe it was Jim worked with Army Corps, the Army Corps person in this area when we were dealing with the beavers over by Channing Pond?
Well, we've been working with Army Corps, I believe, at Channing Pond, as well as anything doing with like Claybrook Road.
We should just make sure that the Army Corps is aware of this development going in,
Sure.
because
Or whether or not
they-
they have any statutory requirement to get an answer from them. So,
well, I mean, first of all, it's in a butter, and then second of all, just because the Charles River Natural Valley Storage Area is one of their supreme wins in terms of flood mitigation, and this is hopefully not going to impact it very much, but you know.
well, and I think also we've seen DEP themselves are very eagle-eyed when
Protective
it
of
comes
the
to, So, Lori,
Yeah.
have you interacted with Army Corps over the years for general information purposes?
Yes, there was somebody that I met with that came out and looked at, it had to do with the beavers when they were working on the pond
Yeah,
for
the Channing
recreation.
Pond. I think it was the Channing Pond, and I think they've
Yeah.
also got.
I
yeah.
might still have his card, his business card.
I just
Okay,
think,
so that-
I just think we should just make sure that they're aware what's going on. I don't have any idea if they have any
Say, or
say or
Or
not.
whatever, yeah,
but-
whatever.
Well, it would be on the abutters list, I guess, when we. see
Right,
that.
it's just, you know, paper going into the bureaucracy might just disappear. So, just saying that if there's a person that we've dealt with, might be
Okay,
with
well,
dealing
so
with
it's,
them again.
yeah, so we'll take a look, and let's see, moving on from that, let's see, Janet, you're looking at, or is there anything else you want to discuss concerning that?
No, but what is unusual is usually for 40Bs, they go through the ZBA process. They get their comprehensive permit, so we know what they've approved, and then they come to us. And sometimes we change the plan. But Scott Goddard has indicated he wanted to concurrently come to us while he's still at this, working through ZBA, which seems premature. And then to Amy's point about the waivers they have to ask, they can't submit plans to us that show just the state requirements if they haven't already been issued the waiver approvals through ZBA. So I don't know. Maybe they will change that strategy. I hope so.
No, I would think that, yeah, no.
Well, I think it's one of the things we'll cross that when we get it. And, but it's something that Lori can be looking into as well, and possibly communicate with Alan Fryer or town council in terms of whether that's appropriate.
When
So
Red Robin came through, I think they were told they had to go through ZBA first, and they.
But don't you remember he kind of came back and forth to us? He was like, I'm not sure, like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Remember? And we were like, no, you need to.
Red Robin, yeah, they came to us and we said, no, you need the waivers first, or.
Right, or you need to go to the planning board and like.
But I think it was ZBA that told him that he had to be there first. I don't know whether it's our job or their job to say.
Well, we'll coordinate. We're running into this more and more frequently, so we'll get good at it eventually. But this one, it's clear ZBA will take the lead on. I would imagine on Pulte, but this one is a little bit different. They actually have, it's a much smaller scale, and it's a little bit quirkier in terms of its application. So we'll get a read from town council on that as well. I think that makes sense. Anything else, Janet?
Yeah, so the next topic is currently certificates of compliance. We've had a deadline of a week before a meeting to submit. And if it's a certificate of compliance, it's not complicated, there are no deviations. That usually is not an issue. I usually have time to coordinate a site inspection and get my comments to you by Sunday, but that's just, that's a 4-day turnaround. So we're hitting more and more certificate of compliances that are problematic. So I wanted to extend the submittal deadline to a 2-week submittal, which makes sure that, I'm comfortable with my review, have had time to be to the site, and then time to issue my report to the full commission for your review. We get a lot of pressure from folks who have a closing, and they're like, oh, can't you make an exception? And so I would like to have your consent to expand the deadline submittal to 2 weeks.
I'm fine with that.
I don't have a problem, except is that supposed to be a policy that we have in writing at some point?
Say it's an administrative procedure. It's just like with our deadlines for NOIs, because of the legal notice and Lori's work schedule, there's a certain day that there's a deadline submittal.
And also advertising plays a role. Tim, did you were saying? Tim, oh, I thought you were saying.
No.
Oh, okay. So I have no problem. Lori and I will take a look and see if there's any administrative thing that we're supposed to come up with other than our discussion and adding it on as a administrative thing. I have what I'm hearing here is a verbal approval, unanimous verbal approval for that. Is that
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay, then let's we'll make it so.
The last item is a request for the use of private fireworks within a buffer zone and very near a pond at 15 Hamlin's Crossing. The fire inspector contacted me. He has an application. There is local control to approve use of fireworks. if the fire department approves it, and then the state fire marshal has to come out and approve it. However, in this case, they want it to be close to the pond to reduce a fire hazard. But I've done a little research and I've talked to some other agents, and they have never allowed fireworks in a buffer zone or near an open body of water because of potential contamination. And, you know, should there be a spark, I just
Very
think,
bad.
yeah,
Very
I just
bad.
don't think it's a good-
Very bad for the water.
So I'd recommend that we recommend to the fire department that this not be approved.
I agree.
So it's interesting. I'm just
I agree.
curious. I don't disagree. I'm just curious. So municipalities seem to have no problem with that. You know, but but the concept of individuals, I can see they have, many fewer resources to make sure that things go properly.
Well, it's also depends on the size of the body of water. Usually you're talking about like
A river.
the ocean.
Yeah.
Or the Charles River.
Yeah.
Or the basin of the Charles River.
Yes.
It's not, so that's it. But I mean, like our lake up in New Hampshire, they've spent a lot of time, the Conservancy spent a lot of time the last couple of years trying to get people to stop doing fireworks off. And my brother, who's now head of the Conservancy, used to be probably the #1 fireworks guy in the town. He loves fireworks, but he's set him off into my mom was convinced he was going to burn the house down into our woods, but not into the water. But it's not.
So he's grown as a person.
Well, no. He still sets them off.
Maybe not.
So horse folks, do you go by this pond? Are you familiar with it?
I don't go by this pond. I know, I mean, so it's interesting to me. So when we come down from, let's just say from Center Street, we cross over, we go to Snow, we're in the woods, and then we cross into what Hanlon's Crossing is, and 15 is right there, and that's the old Coke property. I do not see the pond. They have markers, and what's interesting to me now, and this is a whole separate committee on this, but the new owners of 15 Hamlin have stakes all along their property that said fence line. So that's a whole interesting other situation because of all the conservation granite markers. So I don't know what they're thinking and what they're going to do. But I've never, Amy, I don't know where the pond is.
It's almost to the Medfield line.
Yeah, so I see it.
They have two. They actually have two, but the one I assume they're going to talking about is because the other one's right on the.
So is it on almost by Pine Street?
No, it's almost by another street, but I don't see.
No, it's on Overfield Drive that comes down. Yeah, it comes down, but it's a 2-acre pond, actually.
It's almost to the end of Overfield Drive.
Yeah.
Where's Overfield Drive?
In Medfield.
Off of Pine Street.
Off of Pine Street. That's where I was saying, like
Medfield.
It's off of Medfield.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to give you an idea. I think it's 400 feet long. So it's a good sized pond.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just think and it's fed, there are wetlands there, and it's fed by a stream. Interesting. Stream that seems, I don't know if it's a stream that goes out or comes in. I think it goes out, which means it could send stuff downstream as well. So
it's Winter Brook is what it feels. Yeah. It's the top of Winter Brook.
Janet or Lori, do we have anything that actually addresses this?
No, but you certainly have, it's certainly within your discretion if you'd find that this type of activity could pose an alteration or a negative impact on any of the interests, including wildlife habitat and, water, protection of
Water quality.
Yeah.
Is this?
Yeah, and I think part of that we would need more information to know if that was going to be affected. So it would seem to me that the onus would be on them to show us that nothing would be affected. And so that we would, that our status quo would be that it's not allowed, unless proven otherwise. Is that?
Yes, I think it would be safe to say there's a presumption that it
Mhm.
would alter it if they want to come back. So I'm told by the fire inspector that he's going out tomorrow morning to
Okay.
inspect the site and issue a yes or a no. But if the commission is a no, then he would be a no.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
I just Googled it and it says, Google says, earth.org says, when fireworks burst into their colorful lights, chemical debris is left scattered across the ground. Perchlorate is one of them, and
Yeah,
it's often associated with contaminating soil and water. This chemical remains in the environment for long periods, is easily absorbed by neighboring flora.
Mm-hmm. And perchlorate, I
Sounds like
believe,
it
is one of
harms.
I think perchlorate was one of the things that shut down the mobile station in the town wells. So-
They also have the colors are also from heavy metals like copper and other elements.
So let's hear from Dave, but I think our inclination is no.
That's
unless
from the
proven
New
otherwise.
Hampshire DEP.
Right, the place that sells fireworks on the side of the road.
Mhm.
So, okay.
So, if you're comfortable taking a vote, so he is looking for like a yes or a no.
Mhm.
If I can say that we need more information, but I think I was just contacted about this a couple of days ago, so.
So I think the idea would be, as I mentioned, would be no, unless they can give us more information as to why it would be done safely. Or how it would be done safely.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to, I hate to be a party hooper, although that must be quite the party, and I'm a little
No,
perturbed
I
we
think,
haven't been invited.
I think they are having a party and, yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, so masters of the universe got a master. So okay, then does that seem like it would give Dave what he needs?
Yes, I think so. Yep, and that's.
Great, okay, well. Amira,
So John, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you needed, we kind of skipped over the minutes. So
no, we voted on them.
No, we
Didn't we?
voted on the
Oh, we
minutes.
did? How did
Yeah,
I
we
forgot?
still need an open space representative.
Right,
and
right,
Oh,
I was just
that's
gonna-
what it
I'd like
was.
to be both
You
a
you
new
were
commissioner
you were
and join
you were
open
very
space.
vocal and in approving those minutes, Sarah.
Sorry, sorry.
So sorry, Amira. Let's at this point, we're a little shy on folks. Most people have other commitments. Do we have anybody who, even on a short-term basis, can help out with open space? Or can we just ask?
Just one night a month.
I know,
Which
but.
you're
how
already
skilled
there,
I
right?
am. I mean.
You're already there, Amy. I'm not clear why you can't.
Because I'm
Give-
chair, I can't hold two hats.
I know, but you guys actually, but you bring up a concept just
I
as you're.
was chair of Concom, of the open space before I was on Concom.
No, but I mean, in terms of just the common sense aspect as a conservation oriented resident
It's
of
the
Dover.
numbers, John. I
you
need
need the number.
numbers so I can have a quorum.
Got it.
If I'm short one person, then I have even harder time getting a quorum.
Wow. Which brings me to introducing Amira.
Poor Mara.
So number one is.
I'm just
Am I-
Googling, what is open space?
I thought, well, it's kind of, you were on DLCT, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and number one, am I pronouncing your
Yes.
name correctly?
actually it's Amara. But
Amira, okay.
Sorry.
You know, it's like,
rhymes
it's
with
like,
opera, so Amara.
what's that?
It
Amara.
rhymes with opera, if you remember.
Okay,
that.
Amira, okay. Well, it's very similar to Kamala. versus Kamala. So yeah, there you go. Wanting to put accents where they don't exist. But so anyway, so were you on Dover Land Conservation Trust for a little bit, or from
No,
your?
I've really only just been a member, and I've taken a couple of walks with Tom French, who's the
Mhm.
neighbor down the street,
Mhm.
and learned about it, but I haven't really done that much. But I've
Oh, okay.
just one of those things that I got when I moved here to Dover 5 years ago, and just love the natural landscape, and just over the last 5 years have been exploring, and so
Mhm.
it's one of those things. So I'm sorry, you were saying something about.
Well, so I don't want to actually, since you're not officially a member, and I don't want to assume that you still want to be one after tonight's meeting, but no, so but what we were discussing, and this is kind of the wrong segue, but since we're halfway into it, is that we handle things relative on conservation according to regulations by both the state and the town. And then open space handles open space. They work, very often with DLCT as well in managing properties, other town properties. And would you say coordinating with other groups? Or
We're really more of a information flow networking, and we have the ability, should the Conservation Commission task us with stewardship, to do that. And we have been doing more in terms of trail stewardship than we had in the past, but we have no, the Conservation Commission is the one that owns the conservation land in Dover and is ultimately responsible for it. But the bylaw that created the Open Space Committee allows the Conservation Commission to delegate that authority to open space if they like. Open Space Committee writes the open space report, which open space and recreation plan, which is a multi-year plan that talks about what the priorities are for the town in terms of open space across all the different types of open space and recreation properties we have. So there's the trustees, the DLCT, there's Hale, there's town conservation land, there's BC and Charles River School and all that, so there's a
Right, I would say you're an
Med
advisory
State, there's the
panel.
Hunt Club,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so
Mhm.
what we really try, that's kind of one of our big things, but in order to do that, we need to understand the landscape of open space in Dover, and also it helps different boards learn about other things that other boards are doing in open space related areas. So we have somebody who's appointed from the planning board that's on open space. And we have someone from Conservation Commission who's appointed or is delegated by the Conservation Commission to be on open space. And then there's 9 other members that are appointed by the Board of Selectmen, and we try and spread those members out around different nonprofits and boards within the town. So we try and have somebody from Park and Rec and or Board of Health or DLCT or the Hunt Club or trustees or somebody who likes to mountain bike, and just try and represent all the different communities in Dover and try and hopefully represent more age groups over time, because we're getting kind of old. So I've actually been drafting Anna's brother Rick into joining us to represent the younger emerging old people. The lifers in Dover. So anyway, that's what open space is. And you saw a little bit about what the Conservation Commission does tonight, which, as John said, is much more executing
Regulatory.
and
Yeah, regulatory, yeah.
executing and enforcing and enacting the regulations that the state and town use to protect wetlands and rivers.
So I will
Then-
also say that Amy is very efficient. She runs a very good meeting, and they're much shorter than the meetings are much shorter. Than the
They're
town
an
council.
hour and a half,
Yes.
and that's
Once a month.
Most
more
to the
less.
minute.
Once a month.
And
However,
once a month, the first
so-
day of the month.
So we don't want to put any pressure on you because we don't know if you actually want to join Conservation Commission in the
Right,
first place.
you have to join conservation.
Yeah, and but at the same time, I don't know how many people had a chance to read your letter, and which was lovely.
Wonderful.
And
I did.
if you did, Sarah, or
No, I did. I thought
oh,
it
you
was
did,
lovely.
yeah, yeah.
And
So
I don't
and-
need to see her long resume. I thought her short
No,
resume was quite
No,
impressive.
no, so,
Oh.
no, but no, and we certainly need some spiritual guidance. So the, but
Lots of
the,
spiritual
but why don't you, if you just give us the elevator pitch in terms of, which you started, since you moved to town and seem to be enjoying it, and you joined the LCT and, I was reading this to my wife, actually, because I have my email up at the dinner table, bad person that I am. And she is a master gardener. As a matter of fact, she's going to a day-long seminar tomorrow at Elm Bank on native plants. So she wanted to see your picture just in case you were going. And
That's
so,
happening tomorrow?
yeah. So anyway, that gives you a quick, just a little bit, but if you, feel free to introduce yourself and tell us what if you still feel like this might be something and you can try things on a provisional basis. You don't have to, you're not tied into anything,
Well, I don't know if I have an elevated pitch, but I will tell you that I looked at the clock at 10 o'clock and I was like, oh, it's only been an hour and a half.
Oh,
Right, good.
wow.
I like that, so we too are optimists.
But no, but honestly, I'm really impressed with the professionalism, the kindness, the patience, and actual what's the word I'm looking for? Expediency in getting through things. So in terms of operating as a commission, I'm just impressed, and I would be very happy to participate. I mean, you didn't scare me in any way or make me think because I've been in plenty of boards and meetings where I'm like, I definitely do not want to be here. That did not happen at all. So and in terms of elevated pitch, I can't promise, I don't have at all the level of knowledge that you all have. I just have curiosity and love for nature. So I also happen to be in a week empty nesting. My youngest is going to go to Northeastern. So
Congratulations.
thanks. So I'm thinking I need to also, even though I work at Wellesley College, I need to keep myself busy with things that I love and keep learning. So and it's coincidental that my interest in being a member of the Conservation Commission coincides with this proposal just down the street from me at Troutbrook. I live on Circle Drive. It's completely coincidental that is happening at the same time, but it did additionally pique my interest. They're thinking, that saying there's no time like the present. So I might as well get involved.
So how'd you find out about us, or
Janet Greenwood had she I figure everybody knows Janet Greenwood
on the Dover Facebook page, or
because I don't know who she is.
Janet moderates the Dover MAF Facebook group.
Oh, okay.
And she had to approve my post that we needed more commissioners and associate commissioners. So she sent it.
Okay.
to Amara.
So I've known her for when I first moved here to Dover, and talked to her over time about my interest in, conservation, the more I got to know Dover, and she was the one who told me about the transfer station and everything. And so she remembered that I was interested in this. And so she just said, hey, that might be an opportunity coming up, and the timing was good. So,
Well, speaking for myself, I came on board through Amy Moot 7 years ago because I bought here at 32 Farm Street, and I have a perennial stream, and the Rollins were building their house. So Amy thought, because I went to a Butters meeting, Amy thought, we can get Sarah involved. And I didn't know anything about conservation, but through MACC and through just coming to these meetings, you'll learn. So don't be discouraged or fearful that you don't know anything. Like this is my 7th or 8th year. And I mean, Tim's been on it for 30 years or maybe even more. And Jim's been on it. So anyway, don't be discouraged with that. We're a very inclusive group. We fortunately do have the knowledge of Tim and John, who've been on for a long time, and Janet, who was, a Wellesley employee for the Conservation Commission. So we do have people who have a lot of knowledge.
And Lori has institutional.
Oh yeah, Lori, sorry,
knowledge for,
Lori, I don't
decades.
I don't mean to, so don't be discouraged.
Well, thank you for that.
I still consider myself a newbie, and I'm still only 8 years, I'm 8 years in, so. But the MACC classes are great.
MACC stands for Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions.
Okay.
So they do a bunch of outreach and classes and day-long seminars, which we have a budget for, so it's no cost to you to get up to speed on things. And so that's very helpful as well.
Okay.
So are you still
unfortunately, we don't have in my early days, Paul used to come along on lots of site walks. And if you want an education in wetlands, walking with Paul is just amazing.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Well, and we still do occasionally. We have them, although because many people have been on for a number of years. We've had Paul go and give us our own half-day seminars on vernal pools and things of that sort. And so we do some formal thing with them. And then also, and it seems more and more as we have some of these large developments come in, we have them involved for site visits as well. And so that it's always a learning experience there.
In my early days, he was on almost every site visit.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he was on a lot. So we really got educated.
But now he's famous, so we don't want to,
he is famous, and he's amazing. He's amazing.
Well, there's so much that you mentioned that I want to learn from. I mean, like, just anytime somebody mentions invasives, I'm like, please teach me how to handle the invasives.
We're still
learning. We don't have that one figured out either. Although I have seen this restoration we talked about that happened on its own, this goldenrod thing is probably one of the best recoveries in anti-invasive density of plants so it's we need more of those. I just saw somebody who would cut some stuff down as part of their yard maintenance and then let it repopulate. And it came back phenomenally, but there were also other ways to help them.
Well, it would have been instructive. Did we see this meadow last year during the drought?
We did, actually. I did.
And it was vibrant?
It was 3.5 feet tall and really dense. And no, it covered both ends.
Even my pastures, which are usually barren because I live on the top of a sandy hill, by the middle of the summer I have nothing up there except dust. And this year I can't get through them because there's so much grass.
We did set a record for summer rainfall.
Yeah. Has that meadow been covered by the newspaper or Stroll magazine or anything? I feel like
oh, the one where,
the restoration meadow that you were talking
no,
about.
it was actually, because
not-
it's relatively small and it's in somebody's backyard. So
Yeah.
it's not really publicly accessible.
Mhm.
And so it's but it's an example of that, given the right conditions, something can come back really well.
Well,
think
it wasn't intentional. It wasn't intentionally restored. It just
happened.
it
Yeah.
happened because it
Of
was left
neglect,
alone.
basically, yeah, it's so sometimes this concept of like handling invasives, Sherburne had done a thing where they had 3 10,000-foot lots. One of them they used Roundup, one of them they pulled up by hand, and one of them they pulled up by machine, and then they charted what the response was. None of them did they plant anything, and that's the big issue. And yet sometimes you have these things that come back on their own just because the underlying conditions are so ripe and something gets there before something else does. And so it's a combination of art and science. But then just when you think you have it figured out, a new type of invasive shows up. I think it's what is it, black wart that's the
Black swallowwort.
black swallowwort. Yeah, I always
It's
wondered
been
whether
around
or not
for a while.
well, it has, but it really, the last 10 years, it's just been like leaping out.
Yeah, I mean, Japanese knotwood too is relatively recent.
Yeah, depending on
And
where you live, yeah.
Yeah.
garlic mustard I haven't seen before, and it's starting to.
So yeah, so there are a number of things, and each one responds to
Bother
something
me.
else, and just when you think you got one figured out, then something else takes over. So it's an ongoing learning experience for the world, basically. So I think, I mean, we're so you have a predilection for nature in the first place, and everything. So if you're not scared, and actually we typically would have somebody come on as an associate, although at this point
We have an
Well,
opening.
we need
we have
someone
an
as
actual
a
opening. Yeah.
at least a temporary commissioner. I mean, if Christie comes back, what do we
I can be temporary until.
do?
Yeah. Oh, no. If Chris
That would
comes
be
back,
great.
I'm more than happy to take a break. So I'm fine. So or just like the Supreme Court will expand. But anyway, so I'm hearing a yes from you in between all that.
Yeah.
Great. Then Lori, the next step, do we submit Amra's name to the selectmen?
Yes.
And then she gets
Can I ask-
voted in by them.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
How many hours do you put in outside of the meeting time? Like there were plans that you, like other attachments, I think that you had seen.
Right. So, let's see. I know that as chair, I may put in a few more hours as commissioners.
I spend a couple of hours. Janet and John do most of the heavy lifting. Janet's memo is extremely helpful.
It's incredible.
In laying out all the stuff. So I usually read Janet's memo and then I look at the submissions. Mostly I'm looking at the plans. Not reading all the 103,000 pages of filings. I'm better at the plans than the filings, and like John said, when it's a really complicated project, we will get Paul involved. I do try and go on all the site visits, so that's an hour or so for each one. And
yeah,
I don't think we don't do site visits for all the projects, just the complex ones.
I would say we're probably one every 6 to 8 weeks, if that.
Yeah, we used to do a lot more.
We used to do more, and we probably could do more, but Janet does them now.
Yeah, we used to do every project.
Did you really, Tim, go out to every single? Wow.
everyone.
so-
Well, because we didn't have Janet, we had George Junta who didn't,
Who
Yeah,
said,
he-
yeah,
maybe
looks
even
okay.
before George.
He-
Mhm.
Well,
So-
George was on when I started, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, George, I mean, George was knowledgeable, but not extremely knowledgeable. How's that?
Right.
Well, or maybe it did not discourse, as completely on things. But the things that, and we've mentioned this to other town boards and in front of town meetings, is that the things that are coming before us now typically are more complicated, because especially when it comes to new development, all the good dry lots were built on, long ago. So any new construction comes in front of us invariably, and because they're in front of us, they have wetlands. There may be a few isolated lots out there that don't have, and we never see them, but the majority of new construction now for new lots is because it was a piece of land that wasn't deemed viable, decades ago. And so it requires a little bit more oversight. And then Janet, as a consulting agent, has the background to review that, and especially in terms of for reviewing the things they want to do relative to state bylaw and state regulations and our bylaw. She's very complete in reviewing that, and that helps everybody. But it also means we don't have to go out as often either, which is nice. So I would say for in general, it seems, we have our meetings twice a month. And then we have the occasional site visit, and then depending what we have for an agenda as a commissioner, it might be an hour worth of prep prior to a meeting.
That's what I was gonna say, like, because usually what happens is Lori sends out a couple days before the meeting, she sends the agenda, but also all the kind of plans that are coming through. So as you as an individual can go through on your emails and just kind of click on.
Yeah, what I do is every meeting, I create a folder, an email folder, and stick everything in there so I can review it all at once.
Mhm.
An hour or maybe two if we get interested in something.
Right, if you go down a rabbit hole. But
Yes.
what's helpful with Janet is Janet distills much of that.
Yes.
And then she issues around 5 days before a meeting, a regulatory report that addresses each item on the agenda. And then so that even if you didn't get in the weeds for review, that helps you immensely. And then as you saw, we have the engineers involved. They pull up a plan, you get to see it. And once you'll get familiar with plans, if you're not already, pretty readily, and you have them show what it is they're doing. And then the fun is trying to figure out what it is they're not telling you.
And also trying to figure out how they're trying to spin their story, as you could hear tonight. They always are trying to spin, like I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, no, normally the spin isn't quite as
tonight's spin was a
That
pretty
was a
good.
lot. That was a lot.
Theatrical.
And
Yeah,
I would
just-
say, I was thinking, when was the last time we had a dissenting vote?
among us.
Yes,
Well, that's the other, and then I think
it could be years.
Well, I dissented on Haven Terrace.
Oh, right.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was
was
before
3 years
me.
ago. That was 3
Yeah.
or 4 years ago.
And that was before me.
And
Yeah.
so
Oh,
that
okay.
was on their
The
one of,
stream crossing.
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
and then the stream crossing, and then we all voted no on
The bylaw.
the bylaw.
Right, but those weren't dissenting votes. I mean, I'm not
And
saying.
I also voted no on the first iteration of Lot 4 Claybrook.
Lot
When it
3.
went by the vernal pool.
Oh, yeah, and that
Yeah,
was
lot
before me
3,
too.
yeah,
I'm not gonna,
That
Yeah.
was before me too, and I remember.
and then they let it expire, so then
We had a
we
second
all
vote.
got a second bite at
Right.
that apple.
But no, I think you picked up that, or as Tim mentioned, so the way we operate is what we're told is professional. but also there's an awful lot of mutual respect, you know, among, and we try to get to the right answer, at which point it makes it pretty easy for us to vote in unanimity.
But as you
So
can tell, it's not.
what's that?
I don't
except for
dissent
Amy.
very often, but
Oh, no, but we, you know, we actually, we go for the vote, we look towards Amy just to make sure. And then, but no, so, and I think that's, yeah, it's, if it wasn't for COVID, we would have seen each other more frequently, outside of our Zoom meetings, but, no, so we enjoy what we do and we enjoy each other. And I think that comes across. So we'd love to have you, and look forward to having you join us.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
Cool.
That's
And,
that's it.
that's so well.
So I think we need to vote to recommend.
Okay.
Yeah, to recommend to the, yeah,
Move to recommend.
Well,
the
and then there's
appointment
selectmen or something like
To the
that.
selectmen, yes.
right. So, do
I just made a motion.
I'm
Yep.
seconding it.
Okay, so all in favor of recommending Amara to, and how about the last name, Qureshi?
Horatio, very good. Yeah,
Thank
perfect.
you. To the selectmen as a Conservation Commission member. All in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
I
Sarah,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So you're halfway
Well,
there.
recommended.
And so, please come to the next meeting, even if you haven't heard back or whatnot, because it's good to learn. And then we'll move things through. Lori will get in touch with you.
You do
so
have to
Lori-
study for the open meeting. What is that course? The
Oh, right. Then
ethics?
once
Ethics and open
once you get
meeting
approved
law.
by the
Yeah, ethics,
selectmen.
the open meeting law, but it's this thing, it's this test you
Great
take.
video training.
And if you get it wrong, you get another chance. So basically, you
So
can't
it's
fail
like
the test.
you
an
can't
hour worth
continue
of-
on until you get to the
Right,
right
you can't,
answer.
yeah,
You
so
can-
if there are
it can
four
be your
answers, you
last-
get to pick all four. If you get them wrong, and then you can move on.
So this is it's an ethics course that the state
Yes.
mandates, so that there's no conflicts of interest.
Okay.
And
I'm assuming from your
Feli-
background that
Felicia will
ethics,
Felicia
you
will
should
give
have a
you
pretty
the
good ethical
flyer
core there.
for it.
So
Do you know Dan Cycle? He's somebody I know from my woodworking group. He's an economics professor at Wellesley.
oh well, I'll see if I can find him. Great.
So,
Yeah.
The
He's
Okay,
actually
well
going
then-
on sabbatical, so you probably won't find him.
And when,
So,
Okay.
sorry, Amy, why don't, if you have time tomorrow, let's just talk offline, because I'm just overwhelmed right now, but I might consider being the open space person.
Well, the thing there is, and the other thing is, maybe we rotate.
I just- right,
Is
but I
that
just
is that a possibility, Amy?
It's only a 1-year appointment, so you
Mhm.
can.
But
you
even
can
if we had
change-
somebody to do it.
So I get appointed for 10 years? Is that how
You
that
got
happened?
reappointed 10 years in a row.
Right.
Whatever it was, I don't, it was a
But
long
maybe somebody, we do 3-month cycles. That might be possible depending on people's
It's a little
workloads.
better to have.
Yeah, it's the continuity is a little.
Right, and I don't, but Amy, let's just, talk. You
It's
and I
not,
talk
it's
tomorrow.
not a huge commitment. It's
Right.
more, I mean, the reason Tim's not doing it is because he's got 2
Yeah, I
other
have a
meetings
conflict.
that night.
Yeah.
when does it take place?
The first Tuesday of every month at
And-
7:30.
Are you still doing Zoom?
Oh, okay. So, okay.
And
So-
then we will have a booth that opens at Dover Days as well.
I have a flyer for it.
Oh, the mosquito flyer or the which was superb,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, I thought
Thank
this
you.
mosquito flyer was great.
Yeah, so now we just have to figure out how to disperse it. But that's for another meeting, I think.
Well, no, it's not for another meeting because Dover Days is before our
Oh.
next meeting.
Oh, is it really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Dover
Oh,
Days is the Saturday after. Labor
Ninth,
Day, so
Saturday,
Yeah.
September 9th.
so did everyone have a chance to read Anna's mosquito?
I thought it was
Tom?
fantastic. I thought it was
What's
great.
that? Yeah. And Janet, did you see it? Oh, you're muted. Oh. So
Yeah.
then why don't we
was
go
great.
ahead and let's just vote to well, how are we going to print those up? Because that clearly looks like it would be nice on cardstock or something. How are we going, or can we print it out on color paper that's going to run in the inevitable rainstorm we have on Dover days, or
This is what I mean, I printed it out and it looks great.
mhm.
So,
I mean,
so I
there's
used
all
Amy's oh, go ahead.
Staples is my
Well, how many
my
copies would you,
recommendation.
how many copies would you need that is not wasteful?
I don't know,
I feel
whatever
like
we
it's
have
kinda
extra,
small.
I can give to Felicia to put by her stuff too. That's what
So
I
she-
do with my extra copies.
So
Is put them at the clerk's office.
But I was just wondering, Lori, is that something, if we did 100 copies, could we print that in-house or color?
I can also order printing from the service. I used Canva, by the way. It was amazing.
Canva?
I can order it from them and we can expense it and then figure out which budget it comes from later.
Yeah,
Well,
we have,
just
do we have a,
look at what Canva charges versus if you create Canva, you can make a PDF and then
PDF.
go to Staples and or you email it, whatever. You can upload it online and
Sure.
then just go
do
pick
we,
it up.
do we have, Lori, do we have a reimbursement fund, or how does somebody do expenses?
I haven't had one for copying.
Oh.
Do we have one in general? For any, so we, you know,
I just
like,
write it off as a tax deduction.
well, yeah, I just,
I
yeah,
expensed a training once. MACC is
Yeah.
great.
There's
Oh,
there's
no,
an
yeah.
No, I
education
have
line
expensed
item.
the training.
Yeah, no,
So-
there's a line item for that. I
well, would
can,
this,
Office
maybe-
supplies.
well, we're trained,
Sure.
Yeah.
yeah, office supplies. Well,
what would
we're
it run about?
I looked at,
Color.
I haven't looked at Staples.
Is it one-sided or two-sided? I forgot. Two-sided.
Yeah,
probably
Like $1 a page or something.
Yeah, the Canva printing was like $45 for $50 pages. So it was like a little less
Oh.
than $1 a page.
Yeah, that,
But-
I would think that could come out of
You
office
do better than
supplies.
that.
okay, great.
Also, the townhouse does have a color copier that isn't bad,
The one downstairs is not a color copier.
but
Oh.
upstairs,
You could ask town clerk, that's.
But it's
yeah.
also, then we have somebody else take time out to do it. I think let's, and maybe you can get it on heavier weight paper than we typically use or something of that sort. Amy, is
Yeah,
100,
sounds good.
is 100 adequate?
I think so. I'm just trying to get Staples as trying to sell me stuff. I want to go to the top.
Well, I think, why don't you, yeah,
So I'm just trying to find their copying section.
But I
well,
think,
why don't,
to John's question, I think 100 copies will be fine for Dover days.
Oh,
And-
yeah,
and
100
if-
copies would be fine. I'm just trying to think if it's $100. That's sorry.
well, frankly, if it's 40 versus 100, but 100 gets us on some sort of light cardstock or something, that's an option, or 28 pound
Okay.
or 32 or whatever. And less crumpable. Is that, if that's a word, crumpable?
Yeah.
And then great, then let's go with that, and then we'll expense it through office expenses.
Sounds good.
Is there anything else anyone else would like to add to this evening's lovely meeting?
Festivities.
Okay.
Quick question. Have we heard anything from the warrant committee? Are we supposed to, or is that an after Labor Day thing?
For,
I feel like next year's budget started happening about this time last year.
oh, really? Lori, do you remember?
We start getting memos in September. I think I have to start really, October is when it really gets busy with budget stuff.
Cam Hudson is the new chair of the warrant committee, and he emailed me, reached out. He wanted to pick my brain for such as it is, and Do you know, Amy, do you know Cam?
Yeah,
And yeah, I have no, I know him on site, but I don't know anything else about him.
and his wife Patricia is something, oh, I forgot. Well, his
so-
wife is also involved in town government. I forget
I
which
see.
board though she's on.
Oh,
Her
okay.
different last name though.
So that's, yeah, so that's, he just reached out to me just a
But
couple weeks ago.
he's
No.
he's great. He used to
Mhm.
be on the trustees advisory council with me, but
Oh, okay. Mhm.
he
So, no,
he
I've seen-
rolled off for some reason. I think
Mhm.
he was too busy, maybe with
Mhm.
the warrant.
Well, it's certainly time consuming. So, okay, so I will reach out to him and we'll, so that we get a jump on things and see what it is. See if we can get more money. Anyway,
Oh, can we get CCs? I'm just like curious about that process this year
CCs
on emails, whatever goes by.
for warrant or for.
Yeah, or I kind of want to know, I'm just curious about like, because I wasn't paying a ton of attention last year. I'm kind of curious how it comes together as we start ramping up.
Oh, for warrant, for us.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been pretty easy because basically we've been told to level fund every year. So we,
Okay.
we're not doing, but certainly, yeah, once we get there, I
Awesome.
thought, I'm thinking, because it's interesting, when I first got on the commission, I wasn't, I didn't know, I had no idea of finances whatsoever. Even when Kate was the chair, no idea of what our budget was or any of that sort of stuff. And I think you may have asked about this before, and the idea of disseminating stuff. And then normally we get that budget and then we talk about certain things that we spend, but we don't get a quarterly report that says where we're at, which may not be a bad idea for us to do, although sometimes for Lori to get that quarterly report, it's pulling teeth to get it out of accounting because of our IT issues and stuff like that. But no, I think that makes sense for us to become more familiar with with the funding and how we do it. It tends to be the same, but we could certainly use more because everyone is stretched to their budget limits.
Yeah, sounds good.
And I can touch base with Lori on that as well. Okay, does anything else? Okay, well then, hearing no objections, just let Amber know as well. We're going to we generally end the meeting by saying, hearing no objections, the meeting is adjourned.
Like in the Senate.
Like in the Senate, yes. If I had a gavel, I would do that. So, so hearing no objections, tonight's meeting is adjourned, and welcome aboard,
Good night.
Yes.
Amber.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right.